Morning, everybody. Welcome into the program. Little Groundhog Day here on Ben and Wood, certainly. Today is Wednesday, April 19th. We will do our very best to get our heads right this morning. My name is Woodsy. That is Paul Rindo. He's our executive producer. Morning, Paulie.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning to you. Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, is here. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to San Diego's #1 Stanley Cup playoff hockey show.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to delve into to the NHL and then some today.
Kraken, first ever playoff win last night.
They got it.
Go Kraken.
Go Kraken. Are we sure it's not? Is it Kraken?
It's Kraken.
Is it Kraken? I would prefer Kraken.
Well,
Sounds better.
The bar in Cardiff is
spelled the same.
Is the Kraken.
Spelled the same.
For some reason, I got the long A. But I think once
Can we agree
was
that
it Liam Neeson who said release the Kraken?
is it? Can we
in the
agree
movie?
that
So
that's
it's
a
the
dumb
Kraken.
name for a team? The Kraken.
It's a sea beast.
I understand. Call it a stingray, a shark. They have the sharks already. Anything else?
I thought it was a good choice of hockey team name.
Terrible.
Really?
The Kraken.
What's the worst?
What's Kraken?
What's the
Everybody
worst?
makes me want to
They
die.
have the Seahawks.
Seahawks,
in
yes.
Seattle. And then I think their XFL team is the Sea Dragons.
Yeah.
That there was no
the
better.
Sounders is their soccer team, like Puget Sound.
The Mariners,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
into
They
the
love the
sea
sea.
up there.
Well, okay, quickly.
But
and-
hold on. There was no better name of any sporting team ever than the Supersonics. Nothing. That's the greatest name of all
Our
time.
beloveds.
It's better than Padres. It's better than Dodgers. It's better than Mavericks. It's better than 76ers. The Seattle Supersonics is the greatest name of all time. And now it sits there idly, just rotting away.
But what's the worst name then of a current? I mean, just kind
The
of.
Kraken.
You think that's the worst?
Who's worse than Kraken? What's Kraken, everybody? Makes me want to die.
I don't like the Raptors. Toronto.
Terrible. It's a
That team came out.
Jurassic Park.
That Jurassic Park
so
was a big
stupid.
movie.
Are there
When-
were there fossils in Toronto? Is that why they'd like, actually, we have found quite
Their
a bit of
jerseys when they first came out
Oh,
were
dude.
sick.
Were they?
I
I thought
loved
they were
them.
terrible. Didn't they have
Granted,
the little
I was
raptor
like-
on it?
I was a kid.
Yeah.
and
Wow, yeah, you were 11
dinosaurs,
years old.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Bo would probably love it.
The black and purple.
Some
I
are
mean,
cool.
and it also helped they had Vince Carter. Like,
Vince Carter helps. You can
Vince
put
Carter
him in
could
a
wear
trash
anything.
bag and they'd look cool.
Some
Exactly.
are acceptable only because they've been around so long.
Yes.
Like the Brooklyn Nets.
The Nets. Just a net.
I
The
mean,
Knicks.
I
The
realize
Knicks is a cool name. Knickerbockers.
Knickerbockers,
New York
yeah.
Knicks that sounds good, but like, yeah, there's a lot.
The Knicks sounds good. The
yeah.
Knickerbockers.
Knickerbockers.
Sounds like, see?
Yeah, so you come
Yeah,
see
you
the
wanna go see the
Knickerbockers tonight?
Knickerbockers.
2 bits for a ticket. I'm very thankful for you guys in the audience. Certainly, I'm very thankful for Ben and Paul here. If you are looking at me on the YouTube feed, which you can watch us on YouTube, I've got a bit of the biscuit eyes going. It has been a rough start to the morning in my house. My hour.
Does that mean they're puffy?
Yeah.
Biscuit eyes?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been weeping most of the morning. Our German Shepherd Django is he's not doing good. I was woken up by my wife at 4 a.m. kind of burst into the room and she was in hysterics, and I panicked. I didn't know what was going on. I thought there's some guy climbing through the window or something, and now it's our German Shepherd, who is old. Hannah got Django when her dad Lauren was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and got him a long time ago, and he loved German Shepherds. That was his thing. He had Ayla. He had all these German Shepherds that they grew up with. And yeah, it's hard. They had a lot of pets and they lost a lot of pets. So when he got sick, Hannah went out and bought him essentially this German Shepherd. It could be kind of his last German Shepherd, and that was Django. So obviously the spiritual connection between her dad and the dog and her is a big one. And then I came into her life, and Django came into my life, and I had my own dogs, and we were all one big happy family. And we've lost some along the way. Certainly, Django, one of the last ones standing. And so this morning she came in and said, and he's been down and out for about a week, where he doesn't want to walk really. He's got bad hips, as German Shepherds will tend to get. talked to the vet. The vet said, honestly, it's probably the weather. Their joints hurt. Once it warms up a little bit, I think he's going to start feeling better. So we were really encouraged. She got him. She spent more on this dog bed than some cars that I've owned. Literally, I was like, oh my God, does it recline? This is like vibrating bed. It's amazing. And he's a big boy. So he's been on there and he was comfortable yesterday. This morning he walked into the garage where she works out and he had like a seizure and woke me up. I came in, put a blanket over him and was loving on him and just kind of talking to him. And then she said, let's try to move him inside. And we had him on a bed and we picked him up to move him. And he had another seizure and he like banged his head against the ground. There's blood coming out of his mouth. It's the worst thing ever.
It's graphic.
It's terrible. I'm a wreck. She's a wreck. My kids will be up soon. It's going to be hard for them. So I told her, I said, look, I've got to work until about 9. I said, the boys got a couple interviews in the 9 o'clock hour, 2 interviews, by the way, I very much want to be a part of. But I told her, I texted her, I said, just keep me in the loop of what's going on. I'll come home. I'll take him if he needs to be taken. That's a drive I've made, more than once in the last couple of years. I'm not really happy about it. He's a massive part of our family. But you have to do what you have to do. And, it's just hard, man. He's a protector. He'd been gone for a couple of years. He was living with her brother because he had a big spread in Tennessee, but he came back and we've had him now and the boys just adore him and he's so good with them. And the other thing is when Paulie and I, we go off to fantasy camp, for a week, what do we go? 9 days. I leave my house and I feel zero dread and zero fear because I've got Django there and Django, bro, if the Amazon guy, all you hear is, and you see the guy drop it and run like that's
there's something to be said for that because I'll make a confession here. Mind. I've always been kind of scared of German Shepherds,
bro. 100%.
It's funny. I'm not scared of dogs in general, like even pit bulls. I think they're kind of adorable. But German Shepherds have always kind of freaked me out.
They got that look, man. They got that look, and they're like
and Dobermans.
And the snout. It's the snout. Yeah, man. The snout looks at you like. He's looking down the barrel of that snout,
knowing what they're capable of.
He's gonna rip my face off.
Police
dogs are very, very smart.
Very smart.
But you couldn't ask for a more gentle, sweeter dog with my children. My kids adore him. Jangy is what they call him. And so my boys are going to be devastated this morning when they wake up. But I told Hannah, just make sure he's comfortable. I'll handle it when I get home, which could be, I'd probably say 2 to 3 hours for sure. I do want to be here, but I need to do what I have to do later for them. So she's going to update me. I'm devastated for her. It's that kind of last connection with her father. So it's tough, man. It's a tough day. Anytime you lose a pet is hard, but he's in pain and you can't do that. You can't have him laying there seizing. It's just a hard pill to swallow. It's why animals are so wonderful. We don't deserve them truly, but I'm going to be really bummed, man. It's like anything. You have Shalane, who's kind of your headache, but it's like your headache, right?
Right.
She's a headache. She's my headache. And I think Django, there are aspects of where you're like, bro, because he used to rip her car to shreds. Like she would leave him in the car while she went in and did something. She'd come back and say, oh my God, he ate my steering wheel. Right. He's like, it's like Marley and me. It's your headache. And he has been such a good boy for us and such a good boy for her. And of course our children. So rough day in the Woods household. It's been a bit of an S week over there this week.
I know tier 1s are sending their love. In fact, I see it on our chat that they're with you and thinking of you guys.
Appreciate it very
much this morning, and we are as well. So it's good to have you in here, and hopefully you can take your mind off it for a little while. If you have to go, we can handle things here. I mean, honestly, we could just put in the tape of yesterday's show or the show the day before yesterday.
If you
play it, and it's not really, I don't know that many people would notice as long as we don't mention the actual score.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to cover all the issues. The Padres can't score. What's going on here? I mean, it's the same it's the same deal as the last couple of days.
It really is. I mean, guy last night, and I don't think he's a listener. I know he's a friendly guy. I've seen him before. I think he was a little upset, but I got the old, well, how you guys going to spin this one tomorrow? And I said, I think what I'm going to do is probably go with the long season, ding, give me the ding on the long season. Fernando Tatis Jr. will be back tomorrow. He should help the offense. Joe Musgrove will be coming back as well. I think Juan Soto showed me a couple of nice things last night. And we've got 140-something games to go. We're going to be fine. There it is. Like, what else? What else do you say? Sounds like a ship coming into port.
Very small ship.
Yeah, very tiny ship coming into port. But
Dinghy.
yeah, a dinghy.
Literally
A dinghy.
A dinghy.
So, I mean, what else? What else you say? Here's what else we could do. We could come in and say Bob Melvin's got to go. Ryan Flaherty's got to go. Scott Coolbaugh's got to go. Niebla's got to go.
Trade everybody.
Where is Michael Berdar when you need him? In Detroit. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, he's in Detroit. Let's see. I saw last night DFA Nabil, DFA Adore, DFA Brett Sullivan, which I thought, by the way, Brett Sullivan was like a mini highlight for me last night.
Brett Sullivan
Bro,
last night.
Have you ever seen a rookie come up and look more like he belonged in game one other than Fernando Tatis Jr.?
I'm not the overreactor, but Nabil and Rougned Odor are not doing much of this roster, and I don't know that they ever will. It doesn't mean you DFA them today, but if there are better options, I wouldn't feel that comfortable if I was either one of them at the moment on this Padres roster. I just think it's funny because with all the excitement and hype, and I'm still excited about this season, I never expected to see this headline in the newspaper because, well, what's news? The origin, the meaning of news.
You're the journalist on this show. You tell me.
What's the word? New. It's something that's new. It's interesting. It's out of the ordinary. It's news. It's newsworthy. It's wow. I mean, hey, wait, did you see what happened there? We're going to write about it in our paper. We'll talk about it. It's news. We'll put it on TV. The headline is Padres score. I really wasn't expecting that to be a headline in 2023. I thought that would be the definition of non-newsworthy. Padres score shouldn't be a headline at all in the year 2023 with the lineup and the payroll of this team.
This is breaking news from 97.3.
Padres score. It's the breaking news.
On a freaking
Fielder's choice.
On a fielder's choice number to the second baseman, by the way.
And then just to make sure we got our asses kicked, we gave them another 3 runs.
As news in San Diego, California this morning, the headline, Padres score.
How embarrassing, you guys. It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. I
hate it.
I hate it so much. It's just embarrassing, man. It's just embarrassing. Well,
we've got an incorporator to get to. Jesse did find a way to work the word cakeage.
Cakeage.
The fee you pay to a restaurant when you bring your own cake in and they carve it up for you and put it on plates. Somewhere. That's right.
Cake carving guy.
Have you tried the cake?
Have you tried?
It goes well with the hot fudge sundae.
Yeah. Gradient in school.
So we'll do the incorporator payoff. Paulie will have our daily ditty selection coming up next. This week's theme: songs you were embarrassed about liking. And we'll see what Paulie comes up with today.
He's got the "I'm about to get dragged" face.
But I'm not gonna feel that way because I love it.
All right.
And then we'll get into a similar themed show this morning. I'm a little more. I'm not panicked, but I'm certainly a little more perturbed than I was the last couple of days.
Yeah, pissy maybe. I'm a little pissy.
A bit. I accept that the season's going to include some down streaks, but you do have to limit them. You have to.
Shouldn't you also mix in a good streak?
You have to.
Unless you're the Reds or something.
Losing 6 out of 7. I if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, will the Padres ever lose 6 out of 7 this year?
I think I said it.
I
said. I go, this team will not lose 5 games in a row. They just won't. Now, have we lost 5 in a row?
They haven't lost more than 3 in a row yet, but they've lost 3 in a row twice in the span of 7 games with 1 win in between.
1 win in between.
So it's a little dicey there, and that has surprised me. So already there's been at least a few gray clouds on our horizon that we can talk about this morning. We'll get to all of it coming up. Glad to have you with us. Hearts with Woods this morning, and Django back at the Woods household. We're all here. Glad to have you with us on San Diego's #1 sports station. Let's get our first check of traffic this morning here on 97.3 The Fan.
What in the world is happening? It's gonna make me cry even more.
I already picked the song before I
Before you knew about our dog.
heard anything. Didn't even really put two and two together until you just said something. Sorry about that.
Why does it sound weird? Is that my headphones? Sounds low.
Sounds normal to me.
Does it? Huh.
I think it's a good pick, Paulie.
I mean, it's a great pick.
I'm not sure you should even be embarrassed for that. I mean, it's fact.
He's a grown man, dude. 30 plus years old. Is it because of the movie Bridesmaids? Because I liked that part of the movie Bridesmaids. I thought it was hysterical.
That's just
That
a good
didn't hurt.
song.
That didn't
No,
hurt.
That didn't hurt. That was a great twist to a already great movie.
Hysterical movie.
But yes, Hold On by Wilson
All right,
Phillips.
there you go. I mean, that's you hit the category brilliantly. Absolutely, songs that we should be embarrassed. Mine was no better. Chicago, Hard Habit to Break, and his was
The worst song of all
built
time.
this city on rock and roll.
I mean, that's three just really there's just putrid songs, but you like them. They get in your brain and they wiggle around.
I'll say though, I don't have a lot of shame. Like there was a tougher category than I thought. Because I was like going through songs. I'm like, I'm not embarrassed by liking
Same.
that.
I'm
not embarrassed by liking that.
You guys know I have a massive affinity for hair metal. Massive, like huge. Would go see Rat today if they were playing somewhere. I love hair metal, and I'm not embarrassed about it. But it gets, people just pound on it. But when I listen to those songs, I feel good. They bring me back to a nice place in my life when I was a young kid and didn't know anything and started, thinking about girls and stuff. That's all good memories for me. The band I was in, all good memories. So it's hard. That was a hard category because I'm not super embarrassed that I love Poison and Skid Row and Warrant. I'm not embarrassed at all. I love that stuff. It makes me feel great.
I don't get embarrassed about much anymore. I'm at that point in my life where I just kind of own it. But I got a couple of different songs I've been thinking over in my mind.
Noodling around.
Tomorrow,
it's such a good topic, though, Ben.
Yeah.
It's such a good topic.
All right. By the time that game was deep into the night, there wasn't a lot of excitement left for the Padres, unless you thought they could come back from 5 runs down in the 8th, or 7 runs down in the 9th. The only thing I was looking forward to was seeing how Jesse was going to finally work in our incorporator word from yesterday.
It's literally the highlight of last night.
The very simple yet I thought deceptively challenging word cakeage. Woods came up with that one, and here we go.
A cake brought in from outside, much like corkage. We've all paid a corkage fee.
Cakeage. How do you get that into a baseball game? I mean, I usually have a quick idea, like, maybe he does it this way, maybe he does it that way. I really don't know. I mean, people don't eat cake at baseball games. They don't bring generally food in to be distributed at baseball games.
Especially not. Well, our friend Annie brings cakes in. And Tara Musgrove brings cakes in.
She doesn't charge a cakeage fee.
No, there's no cake. It's anti you.
The Padres don't charge her a cakeage fee.
Right, to bring that. Not
maybe they should.
No, they might.
Got to pay for Ohtani somehow.
Yeah, we got some salaries to pay
high
for.
Payroll.
All those Tara Treats cakeage fees that Bob Scanlon's going to have to be paying.
You imagine Tara.
Mud will cover it.
You imagine Tara Musgrove shows up with a big box, and the guys in the front is like, all right, $47. She's like, I'm getting these to the broadcasters, you guys. Like, sorry, rules are rules. And somebody's got to pay for parking and all that.
Just on an aside, our friend Annie is killing it with her Padres themed bake sales.
She's the best. Give her a plug. What is her website again? FGB Bakes.
The Pound Town pound cake she made for the absolutely delicious for our Ben and Woods Open.
Paulie's got it. I have an extra piece of pound cake. FBGB.
Put that
right on the screen there. Paulie's putting it on the camera right now so you can take a look.
So we had at our Ben and Woods Open, she made 200 pieces of Pound Town pound cake. Paulie and I went and got little stickers with Ben's face on them to hold the cellophane together. They're amazing. We had about a dozen left over.
I've still got a
yeah,
bunch.
Paulie's got the stickers. we had about a dozen pound cakes left over. So the other day I walk in, John from John and Tammy walks up to me. He's got a slab of it in his hand.
Everywhere.
Yeah, he's like, this is the best pound cake I've ever had in my whole life. I'm like, he goes, did you give these away at your tournament? I go, yeah. He goes, these are unbelievable. I go, I told you, dude. We don't mess around here at Ben & Woods, but she is incredible. Tara is. I have not gotten my I need some Tara's treats. My meaty paws on Tara's treats yet, but every time they show them on the broadcast, I just salivate.
With that giant buildup now for cakeage. This was pretty late in the game. Jesse held this one off for a while and
Jesse,
incorporated.
He texts me every time just so I know where to go get it the next morning. And when I don't hear from him for the first 6 or 7 innings, I was listening
early. I go, is he going to do it? No.
Oh, boy.
I didn't hear it. So
and I don't want to I'm not going to text him and be like, hey, don't forget, mother, I just got to sit there and wait. Top of the 8th inning last night, he texts me, he goes, it's done. Here you go. Cakeage, top of the 8th.
Padres would love to look up at the end of the night and be celebrating something here. A dramatic come-from-behind win against a top team in the National League. Pitch inside 2-2. And look, it's not going to be champagne spraying. If that kind of thing happens this early in the season, there will be no cakeage or anything else. But if you're looking for something to rally around, a nice comeback win against a good team would certainly be worthwhile. Pitch low and outside, ball 3.
I bet that one passed right over most people's heads.
Oh, yeah.
That one was very smooth by Jesse.
They always are.
Yeah, some folks on the I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, you can hear everything that we say when we play the music. You're not going to be able to hear the music, right? They can hear audio, though. They can hear Jesse and all of that audio. The music that we play, we'll get fined, so you're not going to be able to hear Paul playing.
Or just flagged and taken off of YouTube, which you don't want that to happen. Yeah. So
it's a bummer. There's really strike. There's no way around it. So, but it was Paul's ditty was Wilson Phillips. Hold on, just for a reminder that Paul, a grown man.
If you're new to the YouTube chat, I you're going to get 98% of the show.
Yeah.
And you can get most of the audio that we play, especially press conference sound or videos that we play for Don't Do This, something like that.
Just the tunes.
It's going to break, coming back from commercial break, and like the daily ditty for
someday. Our dream is to get a little more help, maybe another voice on this show. And then that person will be working the YouTube chat, the stream, and then they'll be putting, free music. You'll be able to hear something. We'll get it dialed in. You got to remember, this thing's still in its infancy here on Ben & Woods. We've only been doing this about a month.
It's spring training. It's like 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months we've been doing this, and I love it. I think it's great. It's been great for our show. People really enjoy it.
Everybody that brings up the show is like, I have deleted. I don't use the app. I don't listen on the car anymore. I got you on YouTube all the time. It is awesome to see you guys.
Well, and I mean, you're seeing it pop up a lot more places than you used to. So you know that you're doing something right.
All right. Before we get to our Padres wrap up, let's talk about the guests we have coming up on the program today. It is Wednesday, which means
a big day.
7:35. We'll talk to Adam Jones, and I'm interested in talking to Adam about slumps and the normal course of events. His teams have gone through them before, just like the Padres are going through them. And he's seen anything out of the ordinary in this Padres slump over the last few days.
And it does make you feel better to talk to somebody that's lived it and been in those rooms of losing 6 out of 7, not hitting the ball like you want to. Well, it makes you feel better because
AJ Cassavell on yesterday, and we asked hey, what's the vibe around the team? Like, what's the vibe in the clubhouse for the 30 minutes that you're in there? Guys like Adam Jones, they lived it. Like, he can tell you exactly what it's like when you're on a team that's going through a rut.
Well, and if you know anything about Adam Jones, he'll absolutely tell it like it is, whether you want to hear it or not. He's going to tell you the straight truth. So looking forward to catching up with him. If I'm here in the 9 o'clock hour, it's a very special guest. Kudos to Paulie for really tracking down Sarah Langs, who is an MLB researcher, reporter. You guys may remember her from last year at the All-Star game.
I think it was the playoffs.
Was it playoffs? It was playoffs. Was it?
Well, they might have done something at the All-Star game. I know in the playoffs for sure. It was actually the wild card series in New York. Because she's a huge Mets fan. She grew up a Mets fan, and the Padres Mets series, they did a big thing on the board for her and said, we're
We're pulling
support
for you.
We believe in you.
So-
Here's how to donate.
She was diagnosed with ALS as a 29-year-old woman. It's one of the more rare cases they've ever seen. I read, as I was doing some research for the interview, read an article in the New York Post, and I was, as I do, I was sobbing into my hands.
Yeah.
And just a remarkable human being, could give us a lot of perspective on, you know what her catchphrase is baseball is the best. And man, I think if you can keep a little bit of that in your brain, even while it's at its worst, right now, it's still the best.
Looking forward to talking to Sarah about baseball and her battle, her journey, coming up at 9:00. Kind of a Women in Sports Wednesday, because at 9:35, a big name, Rachel Nichols, with the NBA playoffs underway. She's got a new show on Showtime. Going to be interviewing some of the headliners, including Joel Embiid on the premiere episode, which just ran, I think, a few days ago. And
I think it's tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow? All right. Coming up tomorrow, Thursdays, I think, is the night for it. Headliners with Rachel Nichols. She's one of the best, and she's going to give us a few minutes coming up at 9:35 this morning. So a really good lineup this morning on the program, including a couple of big names, women in sports on a Wednesday. So looking forward to all of that on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. My only question for the Padres wrap-up, did the run actually make it into the wrap-up? We'll find out when we come back.
The one run.
Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. probably seen this over the past a few months, ever since Fernando Tatis Jr. was suspended, and we had a date, circled April 20th as his scheduled return. People have referred to it as Tatismas.
Yeah,
it's when we get to open our presents. Sometimes though, you open your presents the night before, and I was just wondering. I mean, would there be any way to sneak Fernando Tatis Jr. into the lineup this afternoon?
I doubt it.
Without anybody noticing.
If you tuck the hair under the hat, and then he's
tall.
Yeah.
Maybe you paint a beard on him,
clean shaven. I'm thinking,
or go clean shaven.
He's got some hair, some facial hair.
Put a beard, like a full lumberjack beard on him, and just say it's David Dahl. Yeah, he doesn't hit lefty anymore, and he's really a lot faster, and his hamstring's much better.
A mishap at the tanning bed.
Yeah, and he's just been out in the sun as he recovered from his hurt hamstring. Listen, we waited this long. We can wait one more day. I'm excited. I'm excited to see him. Certainly, there's a lot to look forward to. But we were talking about it off the air this morning. Let's do the wrap up. We can listen to the awful game last night and an 8-1 loss, and then let's talk about what we talked about before. Why makes it even harder to swallow that one last night.
All right, let's get to our Padres wrap up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Insperity. Got a collision that resulted in a vehicle fire northbound side of the 163 past Claremont Mesa Boulevard. Looks like you got the 2 left lanes blocked. Also, collision clearing up on the northbound side of the 805 before Home Avenue. Watch out for a little residual there. In the East County, accident westbound side of the 8. This is right before Lake Jennings Park Road. A couple vehicles involved there over to the right shoulder. Providing scalable HR services, access to better benefits, payroll, and HR technology for over 35 years. Insperity's mission is to help businesses succeed so communities prosper. Insperity HR that makes a difference. Visit Insperity.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
That's right, woodchuck chuckers. It's Groundhog Day. It's a shame if they lose.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Oh, God, here we go. Jesus Christ.
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
It's the Padres wrap-up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
3-2, swing and a miss. Riley out in front of the changeup, and back-to-back Ks to end a 1-2-3 third inning for Blake Snell. 1-0 Atlanta after 2.5. Runners take their leads at first and second. Cronenworth playing behind Grissom. He's got a huge lead, and the pitch is hit well in the air down the left field line. Soto not going to have a play. It will one hop over the little fence in the left field corner. That is an RBI rulebook double. Murphy will score. Grissom's got to stop at third, but Kevin Pillar has put the Braves in front 1-0 here in the second. Here's a 2-1 pitch that's hit a mile out to deep left field. You can forget all about it. Soto turns to watch it, is way up in the second deck in left. A long home run for Sean Murphy, his 4th of the year. Braves are going to double their lead here, 2-0. And the top of the 4th. 3-2, sent in the air, straightaway center field and deep. Grisham going back on the track, at the wall, leaps up, going to go. A 3-run homer for Ozzie Albies. They just kept carrying out to straightaway center field, and the Braves now lead 5-0 in the 8th. Soto looking for an early season signature moment here as he tries to get his season kick-started. 1-0 to the left-hand batter. Anderson deals in a ground ball to second base. Albies way to his left has it. Long throw to second for one. Return to first not in time. And a run scores. So Grisham crosses the plate, and for the first time in too long, the Padres have a run. Here's the first pitch to Olsen. That's sent in the air to very deep right field. Odor goes back to watch, and this one is deep into the lower level for the second consecutive inning. The Braves hit a 3-run home run, and they have broken it all the way open, 8-1 here in the ninth. Yates comes set and ready. And the 0-2 to Odor is swung on and missed. Ball in the dirt, picked up by Murphy. And Odor will walk away. That is strike 3, and that is the ball game. Braves 8-1 tonight over the Pods in Game 2 of the series. They'll have an opportunity for a sweep tomorrow afternoon. Nick Martinez will take the hill for San Diego.
Well, I think it stands out more because of the guys we have in our lineup. So, yeah, I mean, but everybody's frustrated at this point. I mean, after 2 shutouts, and I can't remember the last time I've read something where it hasn't happened here in quite some time. And now, like I said, we're staring down the barrel of another one. It's frustrating. Everybody's frustrated. So we have to go out there and, stop it tomorrow and have a much better offensive game.
Bob Melvin, I'm not sugarcoating it. I think, it's not an easy time for the San Diego Padres. This has now gotten it to be a problematic stretch for this team, losing 6 out of 7, second 3-game losing streak in the past week for the San Diego Padres, punctuated by just the 1 win on Saturday, which was the last time they scored a run until the 8th inning last night. That was a 25-inning streak without scoring a run before getting one on a fielder's choice. That
excruciating.
Didn't really mean much in the big scheme of things.
Yeah, it makes. Listen, Spencer Strider was about as locked in as I've seen a pitcher this year. I've watched quite a bit of baseball. Not only the San Diego Padres, I've been watching our beloved Skip Schumacher's Marlins play. Got them off to a good start. I've seen some Phillies games. There was Yankees Angels was on last night as well. I've watched a lot of baseball this year, and I would be hard pressed to find somebody that was more locked in than Spencer Strider was last night. Everything was working. He even got hosed on a couple of his 97, 98 on the black. So, I don't want to come in here this morning and go, guys, no big deal. It's Spencer Strider. That's what you expect to happen. I mean, it's a tough customer. That's what makes those losses against Colin Ray, called up from AAA to make a start, and Wade Miley, 36-year-old journeyman. That's what makes those tougher to swallow. You've got to destroy those guys. You are better than them. You're without Fernando Tatis Jr., you're better than them. You're better than Colin Ray. You don't get bodied. Now, it could be a game, Ben, where, hey, our starting pitcher doesn't have it either, and we're in a slugfest. No. I mean, here's the thing. I'm looking last night. I was texting with some buddies, and they're like, I don't understand why. My buddy said, I wish they would just move the fences in 5-10 feet. And I said, you know what? No one else has a problem hitting here. Nobody. Guys are hitting moon shots. Matt Olson's shot. Juan Soto is absolutely capable of
Petco
that.
Park has the 3rd most home runs in baseball this year, behind, crazily, Dodger Stadium,
right?
Which is weird. 2 of the not known for home run ballparks. Been plenty of home runs at
Just
Petco
not by
Park
us.
this year.
Just not by us.
Padres have hit quite a few of them, actually.
When was the last time we hit a bomb?
Not in the last few days, but they did hit a few of them in the first series of the season. But you're right. We're not really mad about the Padres losing to Max Fried and Spencer Strider. Spencer Strider, I think they said, it's now 9 straight starts with at least 9 strikeouts. Something no Atlanta Braves pitcher. I mean, Greg Maddux never did it.
Right.
Tom Glavine never did it. Only John Smoltz had a streak that long in Atlanta Braves history. A franchise with a lot of great pitching over the years.
Dude.
He's been fantastic. Max Fried was very good for his 5 innings.
And Fried was beatable, though.
You're mad about not scoring 2 runs against Wade Miley when Yu Darvish, pitched a gem.
An ace-type performance.
You're mad about, not winning that game. But Colin Ray started. You ended up tying it 3-3. You had your best hitters coming up. They couldn't get anything done. You lose in extra innings. Had the Padres won those 2 games, which they should have won.
Yeah.
They'd be 3-4 over their last 7.
Not great, but
we'd kind of go meh. A couple of tough pitchers, and Michael Wacha had a terrible outing.
Yeah,
that's going to happen over the course of any season. But then you lose those 2, and all of a sudden it's a 1-6 stretch, and now it looks really bad for the Padres right now. That's why you can't let those games get away, because every team is going to have a bad day here and there against guys like Spencer Strider.
Yeah, I mean, you know what you're going to face. You know what's coming, and you also know when you have to. I hate it, but I'm going to say it. You know when you have to make hay. Brewers are a good hitting team, but man, you need to take and put the wood to Colin Ray, Wade Miley. You have to. If you want to be a championship caliber team, you got to beat up on the lesser than pitchers. And hey, tip your hat for a great performance. but they had no problem. They had no problem slugging and hitting doubles and home runs at Petco Park. Petco Park's not the problem. Petco Park's not the problem at all. I don't know why they're not playing well at home. I hate it. And our fans in San Diego that fill that stadium certainly deserve better. They deserve better than what they're seeing right now, unquestionably. And I know every single player in that locker room would tell you the same thing. It's a dumb game. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that this team is scuffling so badly offensively. But they are, guys getting cold. I got to tell you, man, when Strider went up and in and plunked Bogarts last night, I was like, I almost lost my mind. Kudos to him for coming back. I hope he's okay today. Adrenaline probably helped a lot in the moment, but man, he got straight bone, man. 98 mile an hour on the hands. That was a tough watch because without Xander, we're in deep doo-doo if that guy goes down.
The Padres have played a very difficult April schedule. I pointed that out before. I think it's maybe the second hardest in all of baseball so far this season. Here's the problem. It's not getting any easier. You got the Braves again today, first place Braves. You've got 4 against the first place Diamondbacks. Then you go to Chicago. The Cubs are 10-6.
Yep.
They're in second place. You've got 2 against San Francisco. And 3 against Cincinnati. Those are your first games since the opening series against teams that have a losing record.
Yep.
And then you got the Dodgers, the Twins, and the Dodgers again. Teams that are
playing
really well.
The Dodgers
are extra sweet because it's against the Dodgers.
Really? So you're looking until mid-May when you got a streak against the Royals, Red Sox, and Nationals before the Padres even, sniff a little easier part of their schedule. So you can't simply go, all right, well, it's tough. It's okay if we lose some of these. You'll find yourself 6 or 7 games under 500 or worse if you keep playing like this against good teams. So they have to turn it around, and they have to do it against teams that are playing well right now in Major League Baseball. And that's hard to do. It's a lot easier to get out of a slump and a rut when all of a sudden a last place team's 5th starter comes up and you just start mashing and everyone gets some confidence. You have a lot of guys that you can get confidence against. You beat Charlie Morton the first time you faced him, right? And you got him today, but it's not like he's going to be a pushover today for the Atlanta Braves. He's a veteran pitcher who's had a lot of success in this league. There simply are no easy outs right now for your San Diego Padres.
None at all. Norman, I think, is making fun of us. He says, insert opposing pitcher name was really locked in last night at Ben and Woods. Can we put that in the tournament of drops? It's my favorite bit. I mean, it's Spencer Strider. He had a no-hitter through 5, 6. When we get our first hit in the 6th.
6th inning. Yeah.
6th inning.
5 and a third.
I would say that's locked in. We just said you have to beat Wade Miley. You have to beat Colin Ray. You have to beat Eric Lauer. Those are guys you need to pummel, and they're not pummeling them. They're not. They're making pedestrian pitchers look like aces. And we are now the team that guys are getting locked in against, and that's not what you want at all. That can't happen. And again, I'm not fine with losing to a Strider or a Fried, but if I'm going against the 1 and 2 in every series, if I win one of those and I lose one, I can live with that. If I'm going against the 1 and 2 of a team, and the 1 beats me and the number 2 we get, great. Let's keep that rolling because he's a really good pitcher. And we're a bad offense right now. That is a deadly combination.
Fernando Tatis Jr., not the only Padre returning. We'll give you an update on Joe Musgrove, Andrew Pomeranz, and play a little Take on Woods when we come back next. Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. While you're listening to 97.3 The Fan, you can see what you missed and click on Listen on Demand. Missed a guest feature or something crazy that happened from earlier? We got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app. Search 97.3 The Fan. Tap earlier today to get started. So the Padres, in addition to getting Fernando Tatis Jr. back tomorrow, will have Joe Musgrove back in the starting rotation on Saturday. Bob Melvin made that announcement during his pregame scrum yesterday to reporters. Joe coming off his rehab start for Lake Elsinore it feels like he's stretched out enough and will be good to go against the Arizona Diamondbacks. They'll push Yu Darvish back a day to Sunday.
Okay.
But they now have to make some decisions when it comes to the starting rotation, and maybe more than just one. If you look at the schedule, Woods, Padres after this gnarly stretch, which is probably a factor a little bit in the start, how they're playing right now, 24 games in 25 days or whatever it is at the beginning of the season. They only have 23 games out of 29 following this series in Arizona. A lot of off days for the Padres in late April and early May, which makes a six-man rotation kind of dicey. Because if you stick with a six-man rotation, that means at best your starters are going once a week and maybe once every 8 days when you have a couple of days off. That really isn't enough.
Boy, it sounds
for
good.
A major league pitcher.
It sounds so good in theory. You're like, the more I rest I can get, the more sharp I will be. They're just not wired that way.
It's such a catch-22. You want your guys rested by the time as rested as you can be by the time the postseason push comes along. But like Saris, we talked to him last week and he mentioned about the six-man. He's not a big fan.
No, he's not.
Like
it helps us.
Simple math. It gets your best starters less starts.
Yeah,
you're not paying Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish $20 million a year plus to pitch once every 7 or 8 days.
Right. Like you don't want them on 3 or 4 days rest, of course.
Correct.
But you want them as often as you can on regular rest.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing and what the Padres have shown, at least they showed it last year, they know how to manage their starters. Certainly, they did it last year and they did it pretty well until some of the starters became ineffective. Now we have not seen a prolonged, because it's only a short time of the season. There's not one starter that I look at and think, he can't win us this game today, right? I know Yu Darvish can. Blake pitched pretty well yesterday. I saw some good stuff out of Blake. We know Joe. We're not sure what he can give us this year, but his track record says he's going to be just fine. Nick Martinez may be the real wild card, but I liked what I've seen from Lugo. Waka had one bad start. Lugo was 3 2/3, but he got flared to death. He got banged by the umpire a bunch. That did not indicate how well he pitched that day. He didn't have his best stuff.
And Ryan Weathers
has looked good.
May have been the best starter they've had so far this season.
They're going to be able to manipulate it in the way that they need to make sure guys stay on regular rotation. The decisions that they're going to have to make, though, is you signed Lugo to be a starter. Hey, you're here to be a starter. Nick Martinez was an opt-out, and you brought him back because he wanted to be a starting pitcher. Someone's going to have to make the jump.
Probably two are going to have to make the jump here from the starting rotation to the bullpen, which will knock at least 2 bullpen members to the minors. And if Drew Pomeranz returns, and he pitched a scoreless inning on rehab for Lake Elsinore, I know you never like to get too excited about a Drew Pomeranz return, but struck out 1, only had to throw about 12 pitches. My guess is he's still a couple of rehab starts or more away, but that could be 3 more spots in the bullpen that are gone. I mean, you have a bad outing, Nabil Crismat, and you could be ticketed to AAA or worse at this point. They've gotten good bullpen work from Steven Wilson, from Domingo Tapia, from Brent Honeywell, and there's not going to be room for everyone.
Tapia's already down.
That's a good point.
He's
they sent him down, and Reese Kinnear obviously can be sent back down as well. But for a team that is struggling, you're going to have to possibly send some pretty decent pitchers down to the minor leagues in the next few days.
Not to be a jerk, but who are we going to miss Reese Kinnear and
I'd miss Brent Honeywell if they send him down.
There's no way they're sending him down. None. Zero chance.
All right, then I'll miss Steven Wilson when they send him down.
There's no way they're sending him down.
I'll miss Tim Hill when they send him down.
They're not sending him down.
Then they're not activating someone. Who are you not bringing back?
I'm sending Nabil.
Are you sending Ryan Weathers down?
No, I'm sending Nabil down.
All right, you
Kinnear
need 3. If Drew Pomeranz comes back, you need to send 3 people down.
I'm sending Nabil.
There's 1
and Kinnear down.
That's 2. Give me who's the 3rd
for now. But I'm not bringing up Drew Pomeranz yet. I need more than.
But
12
let's say he
pitches.
comes back in a week and a half. Who's the 3rd guy?
Let's see. Somebody's probably going to get somebody could get nicked up. You never know. The old Phantom Arm.
Fair enough.
There's ways. There's ways around
cross that bridge until you come to it.
Honeywell's going nowhere. I trust him. Tim Hill has got some work to do. Pitched out of a big jam the other night. Tim Hill is. I know I should, but I don't worry much about Timmy Hill. I feel like he'll get better with more use throughout the season. But yeah, Nabil last night. I look, man. I texted you about it. I said, "Are we punting this game down 2?" When they brought Nabil Krismat in, and because Nabil just he's not been great this season, and his stuff doesn't look really sharp. Now he did get out of that inning that they brought him in. Then he came out for the next one, and I went, well, "What are we doing?" I texted you guys, we're playing with fire here a little bit. And it looked like he may get out of it. 3-0 to Albies, and he battles back with 2 pretty good pitches.
Honestly, I
thought he was getting out of it.
And then the Olsen home run, the Murphy home run, they're both crushed. When Albies swung at that one, which was about 3 inches outside and up, I did not think that was going to be a home run. I thought that was kind of a weak fly out to center field, and it just kept going. And Trent Grisham, I was stunned that was a home run.
Yep. But, again, I think you played with fire a little bit and you burned your hand.
Yeah, I mean, you had already used Steven Wilson. Are you really going to go Garcia and Hader in a loss? I mean, it's a tough dilemma for the manager.
Because
you chase a win,
right,
and use all your bullpen and possibly impact a day game tomorrow for a loss. Or do you go with your lesser guys knowing there's a good chance this game could get out of hand?
But it's 2-0. And so I got to imagine, and we've all played enough baseball to know it's 2-0. And then now it's 5-0. And you're like, well, cool. I feel like we're a bloop and a blast away from winning or tying at least the game. Now we're really going to have to grind on it. So I didn't.
But if you manage all season,
if you manage all season, every 2-0 down,
it's the playoffs.
You're screwed.
We're bringing in our high leverage guys.
You
will explode by July. You cannot do that.
So today, you got to be ready to empty it. You got to be ready to go out and get that win today against Charlie Morton.
So yeah, you get a day game, so you'll have at least until tomorrow night to get everybody rested. If I would think everybody on the back end is very available and will likely be used in the game this afternoon. To wrap up the series. We need a contestant for Take on Woods. We had a qualifier yesterday on a tie in our musical trivia challenge for our getaway to Las Vegas. Call in now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll play our game here in just a minute or so dial quickly. No one's in the line right now, so you dial fast, you can get in. I did want to offer a bit of congratulations. Last night, they, of course, honored the 25th anniversary of the 1998 Padres World Series team. But very cool, one of my coworkers at Channel 10 was on the field being honored as well. He's one of our photojournalists. His name's Mike Howder. And before Mike was a photographer at Channel 10, actually, while he was a photographer, he was Tony Gwynn's video guy.
Oh, and he was the guy.
He was the guy who set up all of his video and would, come into the clubhouse, play it back in between at bats when Tony was. So he was part of that team in 1998 and a few more years. And then he went with Tony to San Diego State to set up the video system for his college players, his Aztecs, while he was the coach there. And he's also been one of my colleagues for a long time, but it's good to see him getting hugs from all the players on the field. They introduced him when they lined up with everybody who was back last night. And I thought it was very cool. And I wanted to say congratulations to Mike, a really good guy, and it's always been fun to work with over the years. And
what a cool gig.
That relationship with Tony Gwynn was very, very cool. Got a big hug from Tony Jr. and Alicia, who went and represented the Gwynn family. You had Ken Caminetti's daughter representing Ken Caminetti, and of course Trevor Hoffman coming out last to Hell's Bells and throwing out the first pitch. It still gives you kind of the chills when Trevor goes out to the mound and throws a pitch for the Padres, even now.
100%.
So that was pretty cool. All right, we got some contestants calling in. Let's get to it. It's time to play Take on Woods. All right, we're once again playing for a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and tickets to Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow could be one of those guilty pleasure songs you're embarrassed about liking. Copacabana. I kind of like Copacabana. I have no problem with Barry Manilow. Let's get Danny on the line to see if we can get him qualified for our getaway to Las Vegas at the Westgate.
Danny, if you win the trip to Vegas, you have to take Ben with you.
We'll go see Barry Manilow together, Danny.
Sorry about that.
Hey, yeah, it sounds like a plan.
All right, you get to pick our category here today. Here are your choices. Woods has left the studio. Still have L names sitting there. 5 song titles that feature names beginning with the letter L. Do the Do. Everyone's avoiding that one. Musical answers built around do, but not the smelly kind, just the sound, do. And then Flying Away, 5 song titles and artists that include things that can fly. So those 3, Danny, L names, Do the Do, or Flying Away. What would you like to play?
Let's go Flying Away.
Flying Away. All right, another new category choice. Okay, so today on Take on Woods, we have 5 song titles or artists that include things that can fly. You'll have 60 seconds. If you don't know an answer, say pass. We can come back to it if there's time left on the clock. Our first question's the 2-second song. Paulie is going to play a clip. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that point. We'll go from there, and then after your score is locked in, Woods will get the same questions. We'll compare at the end to see if you qualify. Danny, are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock in the category Flying Away. Your time begins when Paul plays our music. Good luck, Danny. Let's take on Woods.
Three Little Birds, Bob Marley.
Correct. Steve Miller Band sings Funky Kicks instead of Funky Something Else in the Radio Clean version of which 1977 hit?
Fly Like an Eagle.
Incorrect. Born John Baldwin, the keyboardist for which legendary English band uses the stage name John Paul Jones?
Oh, my gosh. Pass.
In 1978, a cigarette-smoking William Shatner did an over-the-top spoken word version of which Elton John hit?
Rocket Man.
Correct. Which English new wave band had a string of early 80s hits, including Space Age Love Song and I Ran?
Flock of Eagles.
Correct. Born John Baldwin, the keyboardist for which legendary English band used the stage name John Paul Jones?
Oh, my gosh. It's driving me crazy. The Dixies.
No, it's Led Zeppelin is the thing that can fly, but you did get 3 right. You missed Jet Airliner by Steve Miller Band. Fly Like an Eagle was a great guess, but Jet Airliner, don't want to get caught up in any of that funky kicks going down in the city, but it was a very smart guess, and you played a very good game, Danny. Hang on. We'll see if it holds up. You got 3 Little Birds by Bob Marley, Rocket Man, and A Flock of Seagulls. So let's bring Woods in. He doesn't even get the category, and this will be impossible to figure out, I think. So that gives Danny a little bit of an advantage here. Not to spin you out, Woods, but we'll just say his score is locked in. Get your 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Danny.
3 Little Birds, Bob Marley.
Correct. Steve Miller Band sings Funky Kicks instead of Funky Something Else in the Radio Clean version of which 1977 hit?
Jet Airliner.
Correct. Born John Baldwin, the keyboardist for which legendary English band uses the stage name John Paul Jones?
Led Zeppelin.
Correct. In 1978, a cigarette-smoking William Shatner did an over-the-top spoken word version of which Elton John hit?
Pass.
Which English new wave band had a string of early 80s hits, including Space Age Love Song and I
Flock
Ran?
of Seagulls.
Correct. In 1978, a cigarette-smoking William Shatner did an over-the-top spoken word version of which Elton John hit?
10 seconds.
Birds, Seagulls. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road?
No, it's not, but you did sneak out a 4-3 victory. You need to call it that Shatner, by the way, Paulie. It was Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
Was the you got the win 4-3. It's Flying Away, things that fly.
Okay.
Birds, Jet Airliner, Zeppelin, Rocket, and Seagulls, all in the answers today. Danny played a good game. He guessed Fly Like an Eagle, though, and not Jet Airliner, and that was the difference.
Good guess, though.
In the game. It was a great
It's
guess.
a really
We said,
good
yeah, it was a very
guess.
smart guess and a smart game played by Danny today. So please, Danny, try again in the future. Have you heard? You must have heard that William Shatner over the top.
It's annoying.
All right.
Yes. I've heard.
You don't have to play it then.
I
All
like
right.
Space Age Love Song by
She's
Flock
over
of Seagulls. Oh, you do?
And he had trouble coming up with the John Paul Jones
JPJ.
led Zeppelin
The
connection. That was the
unsung
difference.
hero. One of the world's greatest bands, the unsung hero, John Paul Jones.
All right, if you don't have the musical knowledge, you can still qualify for Vegas on Thursdays when we play Real or Fake. No prior knowledge needed for that game. It's simply
you guess.
kind of a guessing game, kind of an instinct, go with your gut instinct sort of game tomorrow at this same time. All right, Weedy will come back and don't do this here on a Wednesday. Still Wednesday.
Oh,
We're not even to Thursday.
Oh,
Paul
my
just did the
God,
same thing.
He did.
He thought we had
we never remember anymore what day it is. Because you know why? Every show is the same.
Every show this week.
Every
is the same.
show is.
We're literally
the
about
same.
to. Ben goes, "Oh, it's time for Take on Woods." I was like, "Oh crap, it's Thursday. We're doing Real or Fake."
Yeah, it is very.
I don't know if you saw it in the NHL last night.
Oh my God,
gruesome, absolutely horrific scene in the NHL last night. Get to that and more coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Back after a check of traffic.
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot. You moron.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't do this
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
Got our weekly with Adam Jones coming up in just about 10 minutes. He can either add to our panic or maybe calm us down a little bit when it comes to the Padres.
I bet you I know which direction he's
I
going to
think
go.
so.
Yeah.
First, though, don't do this. 3 stories that make you shake your head. Well, 2, and then a do this. But I'll get us started with the story of Morgan Barron. Sounds like we should be giving away tickets to the Morgan Barron show at Pechanga Arena. He's opening for Lady A at Gallagher Square or something.
Just as an aside, Morgan Wallen talked about the Padres in a song. I get it sent to me between 6 to 9 times a day. Hey, you guys should play this. It's not going to happen. He's horrific. And I know it's talking about how the Padres beat the Braves. I don't care. It's never going to happen.
So Morgan Barron is actually a Winnipeg Jets forward competing in the Stanley Cup playoffs last night against the Vegas Golden Knights. Got involved in a big scramble in front of the net in the first period of game 1 of their series. All the players collapsing. The puck is, bouncing around. Is it going in? Is it not? And somehow the skate of Vegas goaltender Laurent Brossoit ended up in the face of Morgan Barron.
Oh.
He was immediately taken off the ice to the Jets locker room, where he received 78 stitches to close up his face. He said, I was trying to figure out if the puck went in because it was pretty close. I saw the skate coming. It was an unlucky play. Yeah. First thought was that I can see out of my right eye. That's the main thing. So, I didn't lose the eyeball or anything. Here's the amazing thing. Could have, absolutely. Came back, played. Was back in the second period, wearing a full cage on his head, but
70.
Playing with 78 stitches on my face. You know how long I'd be out after taking 78 stitches? Forever!
6 months at
Never
least.
playing again.
You didn't
That's
even
it. I'm
broadcast
done.
with that.
78 stitches.
Hockey players are truly built different.
They really are.
The moment that it happened, what went through your mind, Morgan?
Trying to figure out if the puck went in. It's sitting pretty close.
It's unbelievable. They're built different.
Not whether your face, just blood.
Why don't they all wear as much protective gear
like a stormtrooper helmet
as possible? I would
a
have
Mandalorian helmet.
I would have slits for eyes. I know it's important. Vision is very important, and you need to be able to see almost behind you and skate behind. And it's very difficult to do that sport while you're running
Cobra
on the
Commander.
street. Right. Like why I would have every bit of equipment that I could wear. Wouldn't you guys?
Yeah, 100%.
I've never used a guard of any sort in baseball, a shin or an arm guard. I've never used one ever. That
I
said,
think women's softball players are super smart. Like even the pitchers wear the
mask.
The mask. The ball cannot get through.
Dude, as close as they are to the plate,
They are
cannot
so
get,
close.
They cannot get through that to their face. It makes a lot of sense. Baseball players don't do that.
I say that I did.
We see what happens.
I did. I'll admit it. I did mock the giant hat. I did the Torres. Remember the Torres hat?
Oh, yeah.
I did. It's like made of rubber. It's like a tire around his head. I mocked it. I did. I feel bad about it, but I mocked it.
John Olerud wore a helmet.
He wore a
while
helmet.
Played
He
first
had a
base.
brain aneurysm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had an aneurysm, and he wore a helmet. And I remember seeing that as a kid, and I was like, that looks really,
I love
really
that apocryphal
nerdy.
Ricky Henderson story. It's not true,
It's
but
not
it's so
true.
funny.
Yeah.
I used to play with a guy who wore a helmet in the field.
Yeah, that was me.
That was me, Ricky.
That was me, Rick.
It's not true, but it's still one of the better Ricky Henderson stories.
Ricky, do you want 10 year? Ricky got 15 year. He's the legend of Ricky is the
Love
best.
If we could get in touch with guys that played with Ricky and guys that knew Ricky, I would do 4 straight hours.
How about
of
just
Ricky
Ricky-
Henderson
Ricky
stories.
on.
Get
I think
Ricky
would
here.
be fantastic. In
that would be
studio.
better. Obviously, if you can make that happen, please. I am begging you.
Ricky Henderson right here telling us stories about baseball. I would
sign me.
would
the
be
F up.
He
it would
played
be
for the
incredible.
Surf Dogs
Yeah, he
here in
did.
San Diego. Maybe Terry Kennedy still has his number because he played for TK.
Yep.
So
I would do anything to get.
Woods?
He's a dream guest.
What do you got?
This is non-sports related, but somebody had sent me this morning, and it is pretty fantastic. It definitely fits the the theme of our show, the Ben and Woods program. So this guy, Netgate, sent, he posted an Instagram clip, and it basically says it's kind of difficult to hear the beginning audio. He says
it's a TikTok, so they caption the audio.
They caption the audio. My grandma passed away. I hired a DJ on Fiverr. Fiverr is a creative website that things start at $5. So if we wanted a new Ben and Woods open, we could spend $5-10
It's
and
like
have
Etsy for creatives.
It's like Etsy for creatives. Yeah, they're like, hey man, let me create for you a Ben Higgins open, and they can send it to you and email it and cost you $5-10. This guy says my grandma passed away. I hired a DJ on Fiverr
to do what
for $15 to make a song in her remembrance. So here it is.
Here's what $5.
Here's
gets
what
you.
15 $15 gets you.
My grandma passed away, and I hired a DJ on Fiverr for $15 to make a song in her remembrance.
Your grandma died. That sucks.
That's it.
Damn it.
Damn it.
Your grandma died. That sucks.
Your grandma died. That sucks.
Is that a real line from a Jay-Z song? Because that
couldn't
sounds
find
like
that.
Jay-Z.
It sounds just like
Your
him.
grandma
Maybe
died. That
maybe
sucks.
it's an AI Jay-Z.
It could be. One more time.
My grandma passed away, and I hired a DJ on Fiverr for $15 to make a song in her remembrance.
Your grandma died. That sucks.
Damn it.
Shout out to her
Shout
family.
out to her family.
Shout out to his family.
Hysterical. What question? I have a living grandmother. You know what I won't be doing when she passes away? Hiring a DJ to make a song in
For
her
anything.
for remembrance.
There's really no need for a DJ when planning a remembrance for a family member.
I mean,
especially
unless you were
grandma.
like a raver or something like.
Your grandma died. That sucks.
Grandma was big in the club scene
Yeah,
in Miami.
if you-
so we've hired a DJ for her funeral.
If you pass away,
You're hiring
there's
a DJ.
David Guetta will be here in studio. You have
Your
no
grandma
idea.
died. That sucks.
It's unbelievable. Go ahead.
All right, finally, I know we were just shaming you for making fun of the big hats.
I did. I really did. Alex
the big
Torres.
hat of the Atlanta Braves home run big hat that they were putting on, like this. Everyone has a bit now. The swag chain has spawned every
The
team's
Polaroid
novelty item.
The Brewers had the cheese head.
Yeah,
they all have
the Angels
something.
have this badass samurai
The
hat.
next trend is going to be the laser beam from the Sacramento Kings. Every team's going to need some sort of victory gimmick at the end of the night. But so I'm kind of tired of them. But then every once in a while, there's one that I like. So for Do This, the New York Rangers trying to build a
mega doo-doo.
little excitement for their Stanley Cup playoff run.
This is great.
They hired the actual actor Liam Neeson, to recreate his famous monologue from the movie Taken that everyone loves. You know what the one I'm talking about. Here's
Love
what
Taken.
here's what they put up on the Jumbotron before their game, their first playoff game.
They posted it's a 15-second video
Yeah.
at New York Rangers. Listen to Liam Neeson. It is time.
Listen to me very carefully. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're looking for. But I can tell you this. You better start watching the New York Rangers in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Got it?
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Did you guys ever see any of the other spawns of Taken?
I guess I've taken 2.
Well, I mean, like non-Taken movies. I've seen Taken and Taken 2. I don't think I've seen Taken 3.
I think there's a 3.
I think there is a 3. I don't think I've seen that one.
Taken 1 was pretty good. Objectively, it's not a great film, but it was very action-packed and ended up being good. But the stuff with the singer at the beginning when he's the bodyguard and all that, pretty bad movie. But
I mean, it's
very
fairly implausible that the same guy's family and close people just keep getting taken
Correct.
over and over again.
Yeah.
Movie
It's like,
after
again?
movie.
Oh
Doing this
man!
again?
I mean, what's the
Jeez.
dumbest movie that ever had like Speed? Speed was completely.
Speed was good.
It was a
though.
great movie.
great.
But Speed 2,
But come on, it's gonna happen
Die
again on
Hard.
a boat.
Die Hard, everywhere he goes, there's some terrorist attack everywhere he goes. I'm at an airport. Die Hard 3, you got the brother of the guy. Die Hard with a Vengeance. I watched every one of them.
Like some movies, like Godfather, a saga, it's fine.
Yeah.
You keep making movies, and but when you have an over-the-top concept, you can't keep making. The
He's
same
like, I
movie.
gotta dust off the special set of skills again. Again, I thought I was done with this. That is, don't and do this.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We'll fire up the video and find out where Adam Jones is joining us from today and talk a little Padres baseball with someone who's gone through, I'm sure, several rough periods in his all-star baseball career. That's coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. Not every Padre is struggling offensively. At least some in the minor leagues are doing okay. Happy birthday to Jackson Merrill, who crushed a 3-run shot, I believe, last night. One of the Padres' top prospects, actually their top prospect in the minor leagues. Not going to be helping this offense anytime soon, and we're going to talk with Adam Jones here in just a moment about the struggles that the Padres are going through and more. We'll do that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Fire crew still doing some cleanup around this earlier vehicle fire in northbound 163 past Claremont Mesa Boulevard. Not showing if any lanes are blocked at this time. Also a vehicle fire in the North County eastbound side of the 78 before Rancho Santa Fe. That is over to the right shoulder. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for discounts and locations nearest you. Valvoline Oil Change centers are open 7 days a week. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And out we go to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline, our regular Wednesday guest, the 5-time All-Star. And the good news, Adam Jones, is we don't have Jake Cronenworth set to call in like 5 minutes. So we won't give you the bums rush this week. I apologize for that last week.
He's still mad. He must be still mad at us.
Yeah, maybe he is. We did cut him off after like 6 or 7 minutes last week.
Yeah, he's just muted. That's
Jake Cronenworth is on.
Unmute that mic.
You know how to do that.
Sorry.
There we go.
I muted myself. I'm saying that. Hey, the current players, they get the right of ways. They have a very busy schedule. Retired players, so I can reschedule. So,
Thank you.
Hey, always glad to be on with you guys.
Thank you for your understanding, my friend. We need a little peace, love, and understanding, Adam, here in the Padres fan base, and honestly, here in the Ben & Wood studio too. We're certainly not panicking. It's not a particularly fun watch the boys scuffle for 25 innings without scoring a run. We talked yesterday about, I don't really like this team looks flat and no fire. I see quite the opposite. I see guys gripping the bat in a death grip, almost like I've got to get this done, gritting their teeth, trying so hard to get it done. They know what's expected of them. They know the city is behind them, but they also know that the city is losing patience a little bit with this offense. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's early in the year, but it's expectations. You're in the National League Championship Series last year. Last time, again, didn't they celebrate the guys last night? Night for that?
Yeah, 98, yep.
They beat the Braves in 98. I remember that. So, again, it's so much expectations. And, again, other teams aren't bad. Other teams are better this year, too. Like the Diamondbacks have stolen wins already from the Padres. You know what I mean? Like, no one expected Diamondbacks to jump to 11-7. No one expected the Brewers 13-5. The Brewers came into San Diego and smacked you a little bit.
Yep.
The Braves last night smacked you a little bit. And, again, it's early in the season. They're not, 3-15, but it's still early. And, you get that the show coming back here in what, 48 to 24 hours?
24 hours, my friend.
I think that a jolt of energy from Fernando could be what is needed. Obviously, Tatis has been struggling a little bit. Manny is not hot.
Soto.
Yet. These are guys that have track records. And when you have a track record, that means that I'm sticking with you. Now, it's the other guys who don't have as long a track record that I'm going to worry about. So, again, it's a long season. I always said wait to June 1st. But, some people panic before then.
How much do you believe in that expression, hitting is contagious? Because I've never totally bought it. I mean, obviously, if an opposing pitcher is just missing his spots and laying them down the middle, it'll look like hitting is contagious, but you're just all getting good pitches to hit. But in a lineup, when one guy gets going, can that really get other guys going as well?
Oh, for sure. And it's generally the 7, 8, 9 guys, the guys that you're not expecting the big numbers down. Now, when Nola gets hot, the lineup gets hot when Nola gets hot. If you just think about it, anytime he gets onto a spurt, the lineup just gets hot because it's turnover. Whenever you get Manny 5 at-bats in a game, you get Soto 5 at-bats in the game, again, track records show that they're going to do something. So when the bottom of the lineup gets hot, you get the big boys back. You get them another opportunity. That's the contagious part. And at some point in time, the big boys come through. That's why they are who they are.
one of the reasons I like talking to our pal Adam Jones, who joins us here on Ben and Woods, is the perspective from somebody that's done it. Now, you obviously didn't have the same type of story as a guy like Juan Soto did. But Adam, I was reading the article that Stephanie Apstein posted yesterday with some insight about Juan Soto and his struggles. And it's as real and raw as I've ever heard from an athlete. And he was talking about, the money that was offered to him in Washington that he turned down, how even his own family members kind of turned against him. They didn't understand it. And how his own teammates said, dude, what are you doing? Like, that's a lot of money. And he's like, you don't understand. This is, there's other factors at play. We talk a lot about pressure and what that pressure must be like of turning down $440 million. How much do you give that credence as far as why he struggled so far this year?
And we just lost that.
We lost him. Perfect.
Good question, though.
Well,
really, if well thought out, well constructed.
If you haven't, it's long, yeah. If you haven't read the article, he's back. Okay. So where did I leave you?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't hear anything. All right. So there was an article written by Stephanie Apstein, who knows Juan Soto very well, covered him when he was in Washington. And he's been very vocal like the last week or so, and he's talking, and he's very open to talking about his struggles, and he knows he's struggling. But he was really raw. And he said, when I turned down that offer in Washington, I had my own teammates going, dude, what are you doing? And he said some of his own family members turned against him, turning down that much money. The pressure, I think, is I know it was really, really raw. And like the pressure of him having to knowing he's turned that down. How much do you think that's contributing to what he's going through right now?
I mean, that's not chump change. That's not 60, 70, 80, 90, 150, 200
right
for that caliber. I mean, like Manny's on 15, 470. This deal was 15, 440, and he was 22.
Yeah,
440 at 21, and Manny's 15 at that. He in total and everything. So understandable. My ass would be tight too. Okay, like just. But at the same time, you make it 23 this year, but it's like, damn, did I? But it's always going to be a question in the back of no matter who you are. Did I let that bag go?
Yeah.
So our team's looking at him now like, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's in the limelight again. Again, around superstars when he was 19, and when he was in nationals, he was around superstars also. So it's not like he was ever forced to be the man. He had Rendon and Zimmerman. Here he has Machado. And to Tatis soon to be. So it's not like he's just always been, singular the man. But do you think that he dropped it, or do you think that he may be nervous that 440 may be 300?
Right
now.
I mean, still a lot of money. Still a lot of money. That being said,
insane amount of money.
That being said,
but it's not about the money. It's about precedence.
Turning that down and then having to, and again, there are people that are firmly in his camp here. Then there are people that say, get rid of him, trade him for pitching. He's so young, he's so talented. It is a bit of a frustrating watch to watch him not hit. But I certainly don't want him to go somewhere else and figure it out.
Let me ask you, Adam, because you've told us before you never really went through the free agency thing until late in your career. Now, Juan Soto's represented by Scott Boras, who is known for pushing his clients to, get to free agency so they can have all the teams competing over him. How would that discussion go, like, in your decision-making process when you decided to re-sign with the Orioles before you got to free agency? I mean, how big of a factor was that you did or didn't want to go through that process?
Well, I was a year and a half. I was still 2 years away from free agency personally. Yeah. And they came with more money than I ever thought I was ever going to make in life. So I'd be a jackass to not take that. I don't care what you say. I could have waited another 2 years and got 150 like Ellsbury and Chu got, but I could have, would have, should have. I could have done this. I could have, you know what I mean? Yeah, like it's professional sports. You all see the guy makes a hard right turn and tears his stuff up. But for me, it was an easy decision. I was happy where I was at. For other players, for Boras, he's always been the tough cookie. But I think by signing Bogarts and signing Machado, you got what? You have 11 years of Machado, Bogarts, and Tatis.
Tatis, yep.
I mean, it's the best problem to have is that a great player you can go get a boatload for. If the All-Star break happens, he's still struggling. Tatis is back to normal form, man, you know, and we're playing good baseball. Unfortunately, he could be the expendable piece. I personally, it's a hard one because he can go get you so much, and the chances of him re-signing you and the chance of you wanting another 10, 11-year player on your books. I mean, again, I'm not Seidler. He's got a lot of money, so he can do it. But I'm just saying, like, as understanding the business, it's some player that is expendable in when it comes to trade because because of his agent is notoriously known for not doing in-season contracts. So it's like if you don't sign him and he doesn't sign with you, you lose out on everything. And if you do sign him, then you get, if you're able to trade him, you get a lot back for him. And it's the same thing I said when you traded for him. You're going to get a full year of see what you got of Soto from the trade deadline to the trade deadline. If it's great, you keep him and re-sign him. If you don't, you gotta go get the best package you can go get because you got 3 superstars and you got Cronenworth locked up too. So, you know what I mean? You got a core. You have a strong core. And unfortunately, he can be an expendable piece.
Damn. I like it. That's why we have Adam Jones on.
Yep.
I mean, that's not.
I feel like
makes sense, sir.
It does.
It does. I feel like with a team with World Series expectations, it would be very hard.
It would be
to trade Juan Soto, even if you got good pieces back. You feel like Juan Soto, if he happens to get
with everybody else you have on the roster, that's tough to sell.
It's going to do more. It's going to do more for you just to hope Juan Soto finally turns into Juan Soto rather than anything you can get for him because.
Yeah. They won't be better than Juan Soto.
You trade him away and he starts, mashing and, getting on base at a 500 clip and hitting home runs the way he can. You're going to go, well, that guy could have put us on his back on the way to a World Series title. And we just traded him in July. I don't see it happening. I don't
see it happening this year at all. I think that's out of the question. But next year you got him under contract again. I said that a couple months ago. What if, what if you do get there? But you never want to sell low. I mean,
hold on, he's under contract next year?
Yeah, we got him next year.
He's under contract for next year.
Yep.
Ah, man, the hell with that. They didn't keep him. Hey, figure it out, Juan. Hey, Juan, figure it out, buddy.
Yeah, figure it out.
We got you next year, too.
It's that easy.
I'm not trading you to next. What? I'm not trading you to next year. Figure it out, buddy.
2.5 years. Half of last season.
half of last and
all
the
of
2
this
more.
year.
My
all
bad.
of next year.
Which is why you
I
gave
thought
up.
it was 1.5.
No,
2.5?
it's why you gave up so much. It's why you gave up so much for him. And, and he did say, man, in this article, it was really well done. And it's hard because you want to come on and say, no excuses, get the job done. The city deserves a World Series championship, just like Washington and all that. And there's no fault in that. And there's nothing true. Then you read the story and you're like, oh yeah, forgot he's a human being and he's 24 years old. And now I kind of feel like a jerk, but you want him so badly to figure out because he's so good.
One thing I'm thinking about now is that, like, he went from the Nationals, and obviously he played a lot in Miami, but there's no fans in Miami.
Right.
You play in New York. There's, you have a big Latin crowd in New York, but you go to Philly and in Atlanta, it's generally American.
Yep.
So he's hearing just like, American language cuss words, and like he can block that out. Just language culturally, he can be like, yeah, whatever. But now he's playing in the West. You go to Dodger Stadium, you go to San Francisco, you go to Arizona. Ain't nothing but Mexicans. They up there cussing his ass out too, and at home too. And he's like, "Damn it, I can understand everything, man. I can understand all of it." Damn it. Even subconsciously, he knows they cussing him out the way they look.
He's gonna go to Kansas City, and he's gonna go to Kansas City, and
that's where he needs to go
and mash.
Yep.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, go to Detroit.
Go to Detroit, yeah.
Oh, I forgot. Where in the world is Adam Jones? Any jet-setting adventures to report on or coming up soon?
No, I'm in Barcelona still, but I will be down in Mexico City. So whoever's down there,
so lucky.
let's go on a food
tour. Well, you'll be our correspondent on the scene.
And a lot of Tier 1 listeners going to be there.
Go down there, so that's awesome, AJ.
We will not be going, but have fun. I'm glad you're.
We got
man, tell your big tell. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Step it up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Adam, you hear that?
Exactly. Step it up.
Thanks, Adam. Man, have a good week.
Step it up, man.
Adam Jones on our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline.
He's the best.
Can you pull pull the quote. What is it? Figure it out, Juan.
Just figure it out.
Just figure it
I
out.
thought you were going to see the one of my hats.
No, just figure it out, Juan.
Just figure it out. It's that easy.
That's the we went from trading him. Oh, one more year?
More year?
Figure it out, Juan.
So good.
Let's go. All guests appear on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. All right, one more game without Fernando Tatis Jr. He actually will be on the team plane this afternoon after the game. He can't be in the stadium for today's game,
right.
But as soon as it's over, he can show back up for the bus to the airport, get on the team plane, and get back into that rhythm of being with the San Diego Padres again, starting tonight. That returns for the first time in a year and a half.
Can't wait to see him, man. Cannot wait to see him run out. He'll be the first batter you see tomorrow night. Be on the road in Arizona. He will be the first one. There will be a chorus of boos raining down upon him in Arizona, but there's a lot of Padre fans out in Arizona as well. So I know they're going to represent really well. You'll hear them as well. It's going to be, I can't wait, man. I'm going to be a wreck all day tomorrow.
Still dealing with all the pitch clock changes and new rules.
Oh,
they're implementing even more new rules in the minor leagues. And you know why they're doing that? Because they're thinking of moving them up to the big leagues.
Is Rob Manfred just bored? Stop tinkering. He's tinkering.
Get to that coming up in the second half of Bennett Woods
Tinkerer.
Next on 97.3 The Fan.
It's me in the dugout screaming at the bat rack. Like a
scream at the bats.
Scream.
Great idea.
I don't believe in curses. I do believe in hexes.
Huh.
What's the difference?
Really?
A curse is allegedly, right?
Not that we
There's
believe.
not a
Not that I
witch
believe in.
doctor involved. You think maybe it is real?
I thought after last night's game, Paulie, bust out your copy of the Yellow Pages. Dig through and see if you could find like a voodoo priestess to come in today to take the hex, not the curse, the hex off of the bats. It's not a curse. I have told you guys my theory on, because you hear it all the time, the San Diego sports curse, right? The Padres are cursed. And I have always said and maintained that if you say that your team is cursed, you are letting very talented, high-priced baseball players off the hook. That just means they'll never win. You could get anybody in the world in here, have the right chemistry, have the right manager, have everything go, have it all on paper, and then them not win. Now, I know it feels like that sometimes. I know it feels like that. But if the Red Sox can do it, if the Cubs can do it, the San Diego Padres can certainly do it. If to just flippantly say this team's cursed, you're excusing the bad batting averages, the bad OBPs, the errors, the poor pitching performances. That just excuses it. Hold them to a higher standard. Now, hexes happen. I don't know why they happen, but there are hexes I do believe in.
I have a different view of things, as you can imagine. There is only one curse or hex for a team in Major League Baseball that hasn't won a title yet, that, feels like whatever it was, the Boston Red Sox or the Cubs forever. The biggest curse in baseball is math. There are 30 teams. There is one winner every year. And you have to overcome those odds to finally win a championship. Now, probability would say if you're around for 60 years, you probably should, luck into two of them over 60 years. Padres are approaching 60 years, and they've beaten the odds to not win a title yet. So you can say the math hasn't gone in their favor, but
had two chances at it
in each and every individual year. And I know that not all teams are created equal. Payrolls are not created equal. And this year is actually an advantage to the Padres over many of those teams that aren't necessarily going after it. But the Padres were one of those teams for many of those years. But everything else, you get a 1 in 30 chance. So, anyone who's been to Las Vegas and played a roulette wheel, and you put a number down, how many spots are on it? 36 spots,
plus the
two green ones that
zeros.
go to the house. It's tough to hit those numbers. You sit there a long time and you go, God, why can't I hit my number 7? It's just not coming. And occasionally you hit back-to-back 7s, and life is great. You get a big payout and you go out and buy a nice steak dinner. But for the most part, you don't hit those because the odds are not in your favor to win a title each year.
Yep.
That's the curse.
We need the chicken bone from Bull Durham, which I watched yesterday.
So,
rub it up and down the bats.
So Paulie pointed out during the break, and I thought this was very interesting, the little game within the game, the mini season within the season. Today's game, while it is simply one of 162, may actually have a bit of outsized importance on the overall outcome of this 2023 season. That is because the Padres and Braves have played 6. The Padres have won 3, and the Braves have now won 3, which means whoever wins today's game wins the season series. And under baseball's new playoff format, the tiebreaker can be very important, whether you're competing for a wild card, whether you're competing for home field advantage, perhaps in a National League Championship Series. That could end up, if you end up tied with the Braves at the end of the year, and obviously the Padres would have to catch up a few games at this point, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility. Today's game could end up mattering in October. Just something to keep in mind as the Padres take the field this afternoon.
I think what you're saying, if I'm going to read between the lines, today's is a must-win. It's a must-win game. We are on April 19th. First must-win game of the season. It's not a bad point at all. You expect
if there was ever a must-win in April.
Yes, then this is it. You expect to be one of those 6 teams, and we still very much do. We expect to be one of those 6 teams at the end. win this season series, win it today behind Nick Martinez going up against Charlie Morton. Go out, end on a high note. You got a tough order ahead in Arizona, but at least you got Tatis coming back. You got Musgrove coming back this weekend. Find a way to win this game. Find a way to win this game. What'd you guys think about Carpenter's at bat last night against Strider with runners on first and second, nobody out? You guys know I hate bunting and giving away outs. I'm laying one. He looks
fairly lost.
If I'm him and we haven't,
a lot of Padres don't look good. He looks particularly bad right now.
No doubt. He who hates bunting, hates it. Don't like to give away outs. But when we haven't scored in 20 some odd innings at that point, I'm going, and especially
I love a good bunt.
I mean, get those guys over. Crony comes up next. You still got a lefty. Crony hit the ball hard. Crony hit the ball hard in his AB. Yeah, a couple times last night. Nothing really to show for it. He got a knock, didn't he? Late knock. Yeah,
late knock.
Yep. So you got to do something. You got to do something to try to get the team. I sound like I'm 75 years old right now. I get it, but that matchup, and I know you hit a bomb. Lay the butt down. Don't be afraid of small ball. See, I know he hit a bomb off Strider last week. That's in your head, like, oh no, I can get this guy. He missed those sliders by 4 feet.
Well, I mean, for those who say Bob Melvin already asleep at the wheel, have you noticed Nelson Cruz has been getting more at bats as the DH, even against right-handers?
Yes.
And while part of it is because Cruz has been pretty productive so far this season, part of it is also because Matt Carpenter is not. And, Bob Melvin has had to sit him down. Now, you say, well, why aren't they sitting down some of the other guys who are slumping? You only have 4 backups on your entire roster when it comes to position players. You can't sit everybody down who's slumping. We're going with a 4-man lineup today.
Yeah, we're just going to cycle it through. Keep going.
There's not a manager does not have unlimited
Can Bogarts
options.
bat 9 times? He's like, I'm exhausted. Can somebody explain these new rule tweaks to me like I'm 7?
Sure. So if you saw it yesterday, Major League Baseball announced that they will be implementing some more rule changes in the Atlantic League,
which means
this is their experimental league, but this is where
it'll be here in 2 years.
This is where, pitch clock and bigger bases and no shift, they all started in the low levels of the minor league and worked their way up to the major leagues as well. And a couple of the new rule changes they'll be experimenting with are the double hook, not the discount double hook, just the double hook, which is a rule that states a pitcher must go 5 innings. A starting pitcher must go 5 innings, or you lose your designated hitter.
It's so stupid.
It's designed. It's very simple. You don't need to be explained that one. I take it. The reason for it is to.
So you're telling me
suppress the use of openers. I think.
Who uses openers a lot?
Tampa Bay Rays have done it a lot.
You're telling me late September, big game.
Yeah.
Snell's on the bump.
Yeah.
Gives you 4 1/3. Work,
right?
A Snell start, Labors, high pitch count, but you're in that game.
Yeah, Nelly Cruz is your DH.
Now Snell doesn't get out of the 5th.
Right.
Pitch count gets high. It's a 2-1 game.
Nelly Cruz is on the
bench. And we no longer have a DH, and we have to have like Brent Honeywell up there hitting in like the.
Well, no, you sub in, but
hit.
I lose. Yeah. I get
now
Cruz for an at 1A, maybe 2 max, and now I got to sit Nelly Cruz, my DH, against their lefty, who he sees really well, because Snell couldn't get through 5 innings in a high stress, high stress game.
I'm on board for that.
I think it's a solution in search of a problem.
Yeah,
because I don't really feel like even when teams are using openers, it's not wrecking baseball. It's an unorthodox strategy.
Absolutely.
But
they're the ones that are going to have to tax those arms, right? I actually agreed with the blowout rules of having, hey man, you're down 6 runs in the 6th inning. You can't just put 3 position players in there and save your bullpen. That to me feels a little bit more fair, even though, hey man, you give me a roster of 26 players. It is up to me. If I decide one day that I want to play Mookie Betts at shortstop, by the way, which is what the Dodgers are thinking about doing, you can't tell me where I can put my guys. You shouldn't be able to. You can't tell me that Tim Hill has to come in and face 3 batters. Like
now that we're telling you where your infielders can and can't play, and how many batters your relief pitchers must face,
and how many.
Major League Baseball's already opened that door.
Yeah,
They can now tell you.
Now
you
they're
have to
running
have
through it.
13 bullpen guys and 13 position players, or maximum of 13. They are taking and tying the hands of teams.
Why?
Why
though? Why do you care if my starter? What if he goes 4 2/3 and walks the bases loaded? I got to pull him.
I think ultimately it's because analytics have made some teams so knowledgeably efficient about the game, they've taken some of the fun out of it as well. Strikeout, home run, 3 true outcomes, that is effective. There's a reason why players like that have become coveted, but it's an ugly form of baseball. We all have kind of agreed. You're making your product worse by using the data to make, teams winning more games has made the product less visually appealing to fans. And ultimately, this is an entertainment product. I don't have a problem with baseball trying to keep the game entertaining. I think it's working this year with the rule changes for the most part. I think they've made a faster paced, more entertaining game. And that brings us to the second rule change that they're trying in the Atlantic League, which is the designated pinch runner. And in that case, you can designate a player on your bench who can go in for anybody at any time, I believe, and pinch run without having the player who just got pinch ran for have to leave the game. They can still stay in the lineup. They can still play in the field. They just don't have to run. And
you
can
sure
send,
it's for any? You can't just assign him to one person because
is it just one person
in adult league. You can designate a non-runner or two.
I thought it was anyone at any time,
or just your fat first baseman that can't run. Paul,
no,
right? Oh,
this one
non-runner
really,
for years. You don't want me clogging up the base paths.
And I suppose that they're trying to inject more athleticism.
If you played adult ball,
into the game,
you would be in a non-runner too. We are big, slow guys. You don't want us clogging up the base path.
This one I really don't get. I think they've already added some more stolen bases back to the game. The last thing I want though is a specialized player,
Billy Hamilton,
who can't
hit,
can't
throw,
field,
can't do anything.
But you can get to the big leagues now if you simply are fast and you focus all your energy on being a great base runner. There could be a place for you in the big leagues in 4 years. I mean, without any ability to play baseball whatsoever, you could end up making millions of dollars as a professional baseball player without the ability to play baseball at all. I do not like the idea of that happening.
I love when they try bits like that, when they tried like Willie Galt to do the bobsled, and when they try football players, they try. Oh man, let's get a track guy to learn how to field punts, and then we'll bring him.
Sometimes it works.
Sometimes
Lolo
it works.
Jones did the bobsled, and had success with that in the Winter Olympics.
No question, man. But this one is a bit weird to me. I actually the way that they do it in most adult leagues is okay. Ben, let's say I bat in front of you, so it's me and you. I'm hitting in front of you. I ground out, but you're designated a non-runner. You walk. You get to first, you go blue, non-runner, and then I was the last out, so now I have to go run for you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. So there's a strategy to it when you're making out your lineup as a manager, because you're like, I put my non-runners here, speedy guys behind him in case he does get on. Let's have at least somebody that can run. I hate it. It doesn't belong in the big leagues.
But neither of those rule changes were the one that got Tony Clark up in arms yesterday. From a suggestion from Rob Manfred. We'll talk about that one coming up. We'll also get to our Rindle report. We got a couple of great guests in our 9 o'clock hour. Sarah Langs, MLB researcher and reporter, Mets fan battling ALS. Really great guest.
Inspirational.
And then Rachel Nichols, NBA insider with the new show on Showtime, going to be with us at 9:35. So stay tuned for all of it. Coming up with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station. Back with more after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. We had a flub alert during that break. I
missed it entirely.
I may have been the only one who caught it, which is very rare. I'm usually the one who commits the flubs, not who catches others in flubs. But I didn't see anyone online or on the stream. Woods didn't catch it, and Paul obviously didn't because he was the one who flubbed, and he went right. He just raced right on by it during his spot for the San Diego Sockers, talking about their playoff loss last night and the must-win game. 2 games actually coming up on Friday night at Pechanga Arena, but they are playing at Pechanga Arena, where they have done quite well this season. In fact, Paulie, how well have they done at Pechanga Arena?
First of all, do you hear the excitement in his voice because
so
it's not
happy.
him?
He is so happy.
Let's hear how well the Sockers have done at Pechanga Arena this season.
That series, the best of 3 conference finals. The Sockers, they haven't lost the season all home. So we need you out there. They haven't lost at season all home.
Sometimes
that's one of those weird flubs where I didn't stutter, I didn't mess up a word.
Nope. You didn't even notice.
I didn't even notice.
He just flew right on through it.
Said every word correctly.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the apple does fall from the tree. You know, consequences have actions, everybody. Those are the greatest. I love Ben's here in Dallas. It's just completely nonsensical.
The Sockers, they haven't lost the season all home.
Yes!
So we need you out there.
That is brilliant. They haven't lost its season all home. That's amazing.
The Sockers, they haven't lost the season all home.
That is absolutely incredible. I needed that.
You know, a lot of times, if you completely butcher a word, or something,
you're like
somebody goes, "Oh, you flubbed." You're like, yeah, I know.
Our sharding shortstop is one that I've done several times.
As soon as that read was over, Ben goes, "Oh, I got a flub alert on that read." I go, "What are you talking about?"
I didn't flub. I was nails on that one.
The Sockers, they haven't lost the season all home.
People pay us for this job. It's incredible.
Oh my god,
it is incredible. Oh God, Lord. Oh, I needed that so much, man. You have no idea.
So we just talked about some of the rule changes that they're going to be sending down to minor league baseball. On a more major league level, Rob Manfred said yesterday that Major League Baseball is looking to limit the length of contracts that are being given out. And this undoubtedly has something to do with what the Padres were doing this past offseason. Said a reform that has been of interest to ownership for a number of years is a limitation of contract length. Obviously, players love it, gives them financial security for a very long period of time. The difficulty, and I think players will come to appreciate this as time goes by.
They totally will.
Those contracts result in a transfer from the current stars to yesterday's stars. At some point, that has to be true. And I think it is an issue that is important for us to stay focused on because it creates inflexibility that affects the quality of the teams that you put on the field. A little hidden context there is he's also worried about teams circumventing the luxury tax.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
That's
when you
really
spread out a contract over more years, it lowers the average value, which lowers the luxury tax number, which allows teams to kind of avoid paying the luxury tax and keeping star players, even though they know, or at least have a good suspicion that Xander Bogaerts is not going to still be a great player at age 41 or 42. It makes more sense to spread it out over more years. If you're going to pay him that amount of money anyway, over 8 or 9 years, why not throw a few more bucks in, make it 11, 12 years, and lower that average value by like 8 to 10 million a year? You may save more on the luxury tax over the course of the contract than you're paying extra to Xander Bogaerts for those few years.
Counterpoint. If you're Steve Cohen and you have $700 billion, you're like, fire away with the luxury tax. I don't care what level I hit. How's that fair?
Well, I don't think it is. That's why they created the Cohen level of luxury tax as well.
But there are guys out there like Steve Cohen and George Steinbrenner back in the day and Dodgers ownership. I mean, now Peter Seidler, his comments yesterday talking about how there will never be another fire sale in San Diego. The San Diego Padres and the moves they've made, it's really going to change baseball, Ben. It's got owners like Dick Manfart so up in arms that they're in the commissioner's office like my son tattling on somebody at school. Like, they're making it unfair for us. Be better. I don't know what to tell you. Take more money out of your pocket. Put it back into your team, Dick. Right? Like, that's Why are you punishing a team that's deciding to go for? Why are you changing the entire nature of baseball? Because the Padres gave a 21-year-old a 14-year contract.
Evan Drellick wrote about it in The Athletic this morning. A lot of the piece is actually focused on Peter Seidler's moves, and there are quotes from Peter Seidler in the Athletic piece. There are also quotes from Tony Clark. As you can imagine,
how did Tony take it?
Tony did not take it very well. He says the public statements from Rob Manfred about the owner's desire to limit guaranteed contracts is just one more in a series of statements attacking fundamental aspects of baseball's free market system and the freedom of clubs and players to structure deals in the best interests of all parties. Obviously, he's not in favor of it, does not want to think anything that could possibly restrict a player's flexibility or freedom to enter into a deal.
Somebody tweeted yesterday under that article, they just said, peace in baseball, labor peace in baseball is a myth. Yeah, and it is. And I think as long as Rob Manfred's at the helm, I mean, you're seeing it right now, Ben, and it's not just the contracts and all of that. I mean, this tremendous amount of tinkering with the game. And that's what, make no mistake about it, making the bases bigger, the step off rule, the pitch clock, he's tinkering with the game. It's a different game. And while some of it is palpable, some of it you can swallow, and some of it is actually, it may be good for the game. Where does it end? Now you're talking about designated runners. Now you're talking about, telling people what they can and can't pay. It's very, very strange that he likes to have his fingers in this pie all the time. So I'd like to step back a little bit. Let's let some of this play out. Like, you ever take your kids somewhere, Ben, and they're like, you get there. Let's say you go to like Disneyland, and you're at Disneyland. You're there for an hour, and they're like, "This sucks. I want to go somewhere else." You're like, "Bro, give it a little bit of time. Let's see where the day brings us. I want to go play video games somewhere." You're like, we just got here. We just got here. Like, let's let some of this play out before you get in there and start tinkering around with the game again.
There's also the sunk cost argument.
Yeah.
Once you've paid for the tickets to Disneyland, you're not getting that money back.
Correct.
So it doesn't actually benefit you, even though, hey, if we make our kids stay 10 hours, we've only paid $13 an hour to be here.
Right.
But if you're miserable for the final 9, are you really helping out anybody, even
Correct.
if you left early?
Correct.
Sometimes you just cut your losses.
Yeah, cutting your losses
you go on.
and that's what
It's a sunk cost.
It's a sunk cost, and sometimes teams, unfortunately, no one's gonna hit on 100% of players. We're paying we're not. Peter Seidler is stroking a check to Eric Hosmer for $23 million this year to not play on this team. That is the definition of a sunk cost. But it's worth more to him to not have him here, clogging up the lineup, clogging up the defense, than to have him here. So, yeah, I'll pay you $23 million to go away. Adam Klug, I am always ready to be a sunk cost whenever you're ready.
We've talked to Peter Seidler about this before, but a couple of the quotes from Evan Drellick's piece. We're pretty open about what we do and why we do it. We're very comfortable the way we go about things. It's a very thoughtful and long-term approach. We're testing our limits. We're testing San Diego's limits, and it continues to go as well as we optimistically expected and more. So that's Peter Seidler when it comes to baseball's economics here in San Diego.
It is funny, though, that little old sleepy San Diego has turned the baseball world on its ear, really. Like, they really have. They've turned the baseball world on its ear. And you had, our owner being name-checked by other owners, and other owners are pulling their hair out because, let's be honest, there's only one reason they're doing it. One reason alone. Peter Seidler makes you look bad. Bob Nutting in Pittsburgh. Peter Seidler makes you look bad. Angelo's family in Baltimore. Peter Seidler makes you look bad. What's his name? Dick Manfart from the Colorado Rockies. That's why you're upset. You're not upset. You're not worried about the sanctity and the fairness of the game. You're worried because you have egg on your face. Because this quote-unquote small market owner said, no, you're zigging. I'm going to zag. I'm going to try to take advantage of our one-horse town and bring it a World Series championship. And that's the only reason they're mad. That's the only reason. It has nothing to do with anything else other than we look like a-holes right now. Rob, he's making us look like jerks. Yeah, I pocketed $60 million last year as the owner of the A's. Yes, I put it right in my pocket. Yes, I have possums and critters in the press box. Yes, our stadium is a dump. Yeah, I don't pay players, but he's making me look bad. That's the only reason.
Want to stay connected with Ben Woods all week long? Give us a follow in the Odyssey app for easy access to clips, show reminders, and more. Simply download the Odyssey app and follow Ben Woods to listen to us no matter where you are. We'll come back. Paulie's got the Rindle report. I get into some of the NBA playoffs, including the decision by Adam Silver that some people think could spell the end of the Golden State Warriors dynasty. That is coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Might try to pull off the local sports double today. Working this afternoon, this evening, obviously, but head down to Petco Park for some of the homestand finale, Padres Braves, and then I put in for a credential. Might go to the Wave game tonight. They got a midweek.
Oh, they have a game tonight?
Yeah, at Snapdragon Stadium. It's part of the Challenge Cup. It's one of those like in-season tournaments that they do. The winner of the tournament gets $1 million for their team, for the players, which is kind of cool. They're playing, I think, the Portland Thorns tonight, and might be a nice opportunity to go check out a Wave game in person for the first time this season.
Very cool.
Maybe I'll have that to talk about tomorrow morning. If Padres don't score any more runs, we'll need something to talk about on Thursday. Other than the Padres not scoring any runs.
I mean, again, yeah, you could just run back the same 3 shows. I wanted to go to the game today. That's obviously not going to happen. I've got not only 2 sick boys. Our dog did pass away about 40 minutes ago. My wife took Django in. He was having seizures this morning. It's our German Shepherd. Hannah's had him since I met her. So as we were getting to know each other, I would get every single morning a picture of her and Django at the dog park every single day. And Django is a part of our family. Would be greatly missed. Protector. My boys loved him. He loved them. The safest, sweetest part of our family. And he passed away. He was just not, you could tell he just wasn't himself the last couple of weeks. We kind of thought the weather had something to do with it. You know, the old bones and old joints, and German Shepherds kind of break down in that way. Their joints start to hurt and whatnot. And yeah, we kind of thought when the weather changed, he'd be feeling better. And this morning he walked in and had a seizure, and it was a really rough morning. And it's been a rough morning continuing. My sweet 5-year-old said, well, at least he's with Poppy now. And that just laid me out. Just at a break, I was talking to her and just laid me out. So rest in peace to our beloved Django. It's tough pill to swallow for sure. We have lost some pets, man, in the last couple of years. It has been not a great run in the Woods household at all.
Stephen King novel over there.
Seriously, man, you're not kidding. Just shout out to his family over and over and over and over, like 9 pets or something.
Well, the Padres haven't acted like themselves the last few days either.
Maybe also the weather. The weather could.
I mean, their joints are hurting.
The weather looks much better
on
today.
This is what we need.
I hope they don't have the same fate.
Less grape roll.
Yes.
And more offense for the Padres this afternoon. It can't hurt playing a day game. I think that's a good thing. Just shake something up. And if you can't really shake the lineup up much, which you can't, we talked about that. Hey, you can shake up the time of day when you're starting, at least today, to wrap up this homestand with the rubber game of the entire season series against the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, and Paulie had a really astute point. 3-3 against the Braves this year, and these season series matter. So this is it's April. It's April 19th. It's not gonna kill your season if you lose, but you do want to win those season series when you can, and today is an opportunity to do that.
I mean, last year the Mets and Braves ended up tied with 101 wins, and it came down to who won the season series. The Braves got the bye, got to skip the wild card round. The Mets, as you'll remember, had to play in the wild card round against, I believe, the San Diego Padres. Yeah. And they lost that series in 3 games, even though they had home field advantage.
So if you're going to the game, get loud. Let's get in some domes today. Not that it'll really matter, but I want to shout out the crowds that have been out there, man. The crowds that have been out at Petco, they have been loud. They have been raucous. They have been fun. They have been rooting on the guys.
I think it's been 8 of 11 sellouts, including last night. My guess is today is probably not sold out, but they'll get 30 to 40,000 again. And then the next home game when they come back, which will be Tatis's first home game, can guarantee you will be a sellout again against the Cincinnati Reds. I know Paulie got his tickets like
you did
months ago, right? For that one.
You planner a header.
I was like,
jealous.
I was like, am I missing something here? I'm like, obviously, barring injury or anything like that, it's back on April 20th.
Right.
And then they're gone for like 10 days or whatever it is.
Man.
I'm like, okay, so that's plenty of wiggle room if he needs an extra couple of days in the minors or something. I'm like, first game at Petco will be May 1st, barring injury, of course. I'm like, what am I missing here? Because tickets are like $20.
I need to send an email right now.
I got tickets right down in right field, dude. It's going to be so much fun.
All right. Send an email to our sales manager as we speak.
All right, speaking of Paulie, it's his turn next with the Reindler Report right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Seeing some big improvements on northbound side of the 163. They cleared up the car fire past Claremont Mesa Boulevard. So, yeah, looking much better there. It's the south 163 giving you problems now. Stalled transit bus before Mesa College is in the fast lane. Then up ahead, right before Friars Road, a ladder reported in the fast lane. Not done yet in Balboa Park. Got a two-car collision, south 163, right before Park Boulevard. Everything's over the right shoulder. Also hit and run crash on the northbound 805 Balboa Avenue off-ramp. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Gentlemen, we'll start off in the NBA, an update on a story we talked about yesterday. Ben, you teased it. Warriors forward Draymond Green has been suspended by the NBA for 1 game after he stepped on the chest of Domantas Sabonis.
I don't like it.
I don't think I like it either. Wasn't surprised, I guess.
He stomped, though. He didn't step over. He goes.
He got him.
He got him
And,
good.
The NBA
River
issued a
danced on him.
statement.
He did.
NBA issued a statement fairly late last night that announced the suspension. And they said the suspension was based in part on Green's history of unsportsmanlike acts. Now,
that helps. Yeah.
I get that. I also don't know that I agree with that. To me, the act is either worthy of a suspension or it's not. Should his history play a factor into whether or not he's suspended?
Well, the intent was to injure. Right? That the intent of that, hey man, you grabbed my leg, which is, I mean,
he was pissed.
You get into that guy's dome, there's a good chance you're going to get something like that out of him, right? Like it's not an accident that they go after him and they want him to lose his cool because he is likely to cold cock somebody, hit somebody in the nuts, stomp on somebody's chest, right? I mean, it's on him to not do it, but his history tells you he's going to. And brilliantly played by the Kings. Brilliantly. That's what you want to do.
I think the reason I don't like it, first of all, I do acknowledge that he wasn't the instigator.
Correct.
It was Sabonis who yanked on his leg first.
Aren't you a big turn the other cheek guy?
Yeah, he overreacted. He absolutely overreacted. I think the technical foul and the ejection was warranted.
Enough. And enough. Then.
I also think that it's okay to take his prior history into account. But here's middle ground, Ben, for you. Suspended for 2 games at the start of next season, but not
the playoffs.
Not in a must-win playoff game for the Golden State Warriors in Game 3, in which you might change the series. We've already gone through this in the NBA Finals when he got suspended and they lost the game against the Cavs.
Well, you just said it.
He got suspended, and then didn't Steph get ejected?
Yeah.
You just said it though. We've already been through this with Draymond. What is my saying, Ben? But consequences have actions.
I thought that one had an outsized impact on the playoffs, and I don't feel like we should go down that road again of having an outsized impact potentially on a playoff series. Suspend him for the first game or 2 next season.
I'm surprised that this is your take,
but I don't think he didn't start it. He lost his cool for about 2-3 seconds, and then he got off of him and moved on. I just don't think you should lose a playoff game for that.
I think you're blinded by your love of Steve Kerr. I think that
it's partly true.
That's why I always defend Manny.
I also want to see that series go 7. I don't want to see the Warriors roll over in 4 because they lost the first 3 games.
Warriors
I think that could be a great series.
2-0 to the Kings right now.
And now
it goes back to Golden State.
They got to win this next game, Game 3, and now they'll have to do it without Draymond, which makes it harder. He's an important player on their team.
Yep.
We'll keep it in the Bay Area. Wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this. Did you see the protest that is being planned by Oakland A's fans? They're calling it the reverse boycott. And they want to prove that it's not the fans' fault that the team's most likely going to be moving here at some point.
Wait, a reverse protest
so
where?
are they going to all show up to a game to protest?
A fan group is organizing a reverse boycott. It's going to be on June 13th, which is gotta get the date. It's a midweek game, though. It's like it's a random game that you wouldn't expect a big crowd for most teams, let alone, of course.
The A's were drawing like 4,000 a game.
It's bad. So they want to pack the stadium, sell it out on June 13th in support of the team, and show ownership and baseball, it ain't us. We're not the problem, okay?
I've already seen them holding up signs in Oakland that say, this is not our fault, which it's true. We've lived here. You hear those words and you go, my God, it rings, Ben feels it in his core. And many of you do. But a reverse boycott puts money into that owner's pocket.
That's why it wasn't but one game worth of money for, I think, what would be a powerful statement.
It would. Will it change one thing?
No,
not
that's the problem.
Is it so far gone that it?
I like the idea.
We love the idea of a Disney made-for-TV movie where the owner sits there and he goes, "You know what?
I can't leave.
I can't do this."
I kind of wish Chargers fans in their last season in San Diego, when things were pretty dismal at the end, had like the last game. Let's have everyone sell it out and then pretty much sit on your hands, just quietly, the entire game that you're there. We're just sitting there showing that we can show up. If you give us a reason to show up, we will show up. And this is what the Oakland A's are planning. And I think I still think it's kind of genius.
That's a lot of money that you're asking fans to fork over to protest. I mean, what do you get? A's tickets for $5?
They did increase ticket prices.
Somebody in the fan group that's organizing this said, our group consists of many A's fans who are tired of being mistreated by A's owner John Fisher and organization president Dave Kaval. We are here to show that the fans are in Oakland. We just need an owner who is committed towards fielding a successful team. So
somebody put
6
out
weeks or so.
Somebody put out yesterday look, it's not just the Padres who have gotten rid of a lot of talent and stuff. That somebody put together what the Oakland A's lineup could and really should look like. I mean, it was astounding. It said how many games? How many games would this team win? Now they've been doing this for a long time. A long time. I mean, you think about back in the Moneyball days and some of the guys they picked up and made better, certainly, but some of the guys that they shipped off. But it was a modern-ish version of how many games would this team win. And you're looking at a 90-95 win team with the talent that they've shipped out the last few years. So the life of an A's fan is not an easy one. I do not envy you at all, not in the slightest. So I do feel like it's a bit of a foregone conclusion, though, that it's when that owner, Ben, and you know this, when that owner gets it in his head, and we heard something. There's three of us,
shiny Vegas lights.
The three of us heard something with a very reputable source. Remember what we heard?
Oh yeah.
I mean about Dean. Dean, you could have sold it, Ben. You could have sold it out. You could have sold it out every game. You could have sat on your hands or gone crazy. You could have bought every piece of merch in the building, every hot dog, every beer.
Wouldn't have mattered. That's
a quote. I want to be in LA. I can be a big shot in LA. That's a quote from our source that had dinner with that man. I can be a big shot in LA. They were never staying. And I feel like if you're an A's fan, you're clinging to the Titanic door, and Rose is already on it. She's not letting you on. They're on their way to Vegas right now. And it's a huge bummer to not have the Oakland A's.
Now, the A's might be incredibly successful in Vegas. That city has really embraced their teams. Yeah. What galls me, of course, about the Chargers is that they're not a big deal at all.
Yeah, he especially is not. He's not the big shot.
They did this to San Diego fans under a false premise of what they thought they were going to get.
Correct.
Up there.
Man, when we heard that story, I blew my hair.
Yeah,
my hair back.
That was crazy.
Yep.
Finally, we'll go quickly here. A CEO is getting dragged after video of a Zoom meeting, I guess, with all their employees.
Like a Zoom statement.
Yeah. Town hall meeting went viral. So she's Andy Owen is the CEO of a furniture company, Miller Knoll, and she is scolding employees who asked about not getting bonuses anymore.
Yeah.
Then word got out after this went viral that she's keeping millions of
Yeah.
dollars in her bonuses.
She
Here's
got
what
a-
she, here's
she
listen
got
to
a
the
nice
tone
one.
that she had to her employees.
Great question.
sounds like a
Gretchen.
teacher.
A lot of questions came through about how can we stay motivated if we're not going to get a bonus? What can we do? What can we do? Some of them were nice and some of them were not so nice. So I'm going to address this head on. The most important thing we can do right now is focus on the things that we can control.
Yeah,
None of us could have predicted COVID. None of us could have predicted supply chain. None of us could have predicted bank failures. But what we can do is stay in front of our customers, provide the best customer service we can, get our orders out our door, treat each other well, be kind, be respectful, focus on the future because it will be bright. It's not good to be in a situation we're in today, but we're not going to be here forever. It is going to get better. So lead by example, treat people well, talk to them, be kind, and get after it. Don't ask about what are we going to do if we don't get a bonus? Get the damn $26 million. Spend your time and your effort thinking about the $26 million we need and not thinking about what you're going to do if we don't get a bonus. All right? Can I get some commitment for that? I would appreciate that. I had an old boss who said to me one time, you can visit Pity City, but you can't live there. So people leave Pity City. Let's get it done. Thank you. Have a great day.
Like she was mad.
She's mad that she
You don't get the right to be mad.
Ooh, $6 million she took as a bonus.
I
think
believe I saw 6. Yeah.
You're not getting one. I'm getting 6. The CEO should make money. No one's saying the CEO shouldn't make money.
But to take bonuses away that
If the
people are
company's
expecting
not
as part
doing
of their
well, though, the
salary and then
CEO
say,
shouldn't be
hey,
making money.
what's the next step? We're going to care for each other.
Paulie, don't
and
live
lead.
in Pity City. You can visit. I will use that for the rest of my life. I'm doing it to my 5-year-old when I get home. I can't wait.
Padres fans, we're all visiting Pity City
Yes.
right now.
Don't live there.
You know what? Who doesn't have any pity on herself is Sarah Langs, our next guest. Incredible story next on The Fan. Final hour of Ben and Woods here on a Wednesday morning. Been a tough one for multiple reasons. Woods dealing with the loss of a pet at home. Padres dealing with a string of losses at Petco Park.
Yeah, loss of an offense.
Yes, it hopefully will return. Maybe this afternoon against the Atlanta Braves, we will see. We know that Fernando Tatis Jr. will be back tomorrow. That should brighten our spirits. And I'm looking forward to our next guest who joins us right now on our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline covering Major League Baseball and just an inspiring story. It's great to welcome Sarah Langs to Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station. Sarah, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? Sounds like not the best,
Well,
but thanks for having me nonetheless.
It's our pleasure. And your quote of baseball is the best. And it is. I try to remind our audience as we're mired in this slump, we all asked for this. We begged for this. We complained every single day when baseball wasn't here. Unfortunately, just in one of those little ruts right now offensively, but it happens to the best of them. Baseball will continue to be the best. When did you come up with this? And I know this is something you've felt your entire life.
It really is. I mean, I was asked about this a couple months ago, and I actually went back and found that when I was in college back in 2014, I wrote a story where the headline was "Baseball is the best" for the college newspaper. I was one of the editors of the sports section, and we did a series basically where everybody argued about different sports and trying to decide which one was the best. And of course, I took baseball, and that was the first time that I tweeted or wrote that baseball was the best. But I mean, it's really taken off over these last few years, not intentionally. I mean, people refer to it as a catchphrase. I never thought of myself as someone with the catchphrase, but it's true. And there are just so many moments that really define baseball in that way. And I love that people have enjoyed the catchphrase as well.
For those tier ones out there who don't know Sarah's story, you grew up as a Mets fan in New York City, passionate about baseball, have turned it into a career as a researcher and a reporter at several outlets. And then at the age of 29, you were diagnosed with ALS, which you have attacked with the same zest that you're showing to us today, which is absolutely amazing. And I think people just have seen your fight and your spirit, and it really has inspired a lot of people, Sarah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I mean, the baseball community has been amazing since I shared this back in October. Baseball is really part of what has gotten me through all of this. I mean, finding out about that diagnosis and continuing to work and having an amazing workplace with MLB.com. and MLB Network that is able to be flexible and help me, doctor's appointments, what have you, and then come back and watch games. And it's just amazing. I try to watch every game. I've watched every game so far this year, I believe. And that's been my goal these last few years. And I mean, baseball is just always there for you, which is another reason that it is the best.
ALS is something that they are still looking for a cure for. And I think what Sarah's doing and showing, how you continue to go on and cover baseball. We just saw it. I don't know if you watched our San Diego State basketball team in the Final Four, the championship game, but Mark Fisher, Steve Fisher's son, who is an assistant coach and traveling and still an important part of that coaching staff. He's been battling it for, I think, over a decade now. And it's just so inspiring to see that, you can get this diagnosis and this horrible disease, but it doesn't mean that you don't still have so much to give with whatever your passion is.
And I think that's the exact word, passion, because, depending on what someone might be doing, what you're employed in, what field, you may take this as an opportunity to say, you know what, retirement's pretty great at 29. And I know plenty of people who have done that, but I'm so lucky to be working in a field that I'm passionate in. And of course, he is and was when he was diagnosed as well. And I think sports is just unique in that way, where you want to continue doing whatever you can for as long as you can.
It's such good perspective for me. It's such good perspective for our audience. Talking to Sarah Langs, MLB researcher, reporter here on Ben and Woods this morning. One thing, I was reading the New York Post write-up that they did on you last year, and yeah, it's a very moving piece. And I the older I get, I think the more emotional I get. And I was reading though about the streak that you
that too.
the streak that you love the Mets. You waited how long between victories in person?
Oh my goodness. So yes, I grew up a Mets fan. My first Mets game, May 23rd, 1998. Mike Piazza's first game with the Mets. It was against the Brewers. Al Leiter pitched, the Mets win. And then from then, me and my baseball-obsessed family, we went to a few games a year. And then as it became clear that I really loved baseball, we really ramped up the number of games we went to. I did not see another win until May 13th, 2007, also against the Brewers, by the way. But yeah, quite the streak then.
Oh my God,
that is unbelievable.
And,
truly
and
unbelievable.
It's not like you only went to 1 or 2 games. So you feel like you went to like 20 games over that period, and they lost all of them.
Oh yeah,
that's tougher than DiMaggio's 56 game hit streak. I mean, law of averages says they're going to scratch.
See,
one out.
I grew up as a Tony Gwynn fan, and I went, and he got a hit every game I went, and I thought, this is amazing. And I go, no, wait, he just does that. He's just Tony Gwynn. That's not everyone has a Tony Gwynn streak when you show up to a game like that. So it wasn't as special for me. It wasn't as fun for you, but that's incredible.
At some point, you're just kicking yourself. Why? Why do I keep doing this? And I know, listen, there are Padre fans that feel that way this year, not playing particularly well at home. But look, some of the people you work with, we obviously got ourselves hyped up about the team and what our ownership is doing, and the fans are showing up, selling out a bunch of games. But the national media, some of the people that you work with, that's their fault too. They got us all dialed in and thinking that the Padres were going to run away with it. And it's a lot tougher to do it when you actually once you take the field, and everyone's kind of gunning for the Padres. This is a new position for them. They're usually the hunters, and now they're the hunted.
They are, and I mean, I'm guilty of that as well. I believe I picked them to win the NL West.
Sure.
I would have to go back into my Google Docs, but I think I did. But I mean, it's early. 8-11 is not that bad. We've seen teams like the Phillies obviously make it all the way to the World Series last year, even after a rough start. And as you guys were referring to with the offense, I know they're in the rut right now, but Manny Machado is a future Hall of Famer.
Yep.
He will be hitting better. Juan Soto, who I'm a huge fan of his game, everything that he does, he will be hitting better as well. And of course, Fernando Tatis Jr. coming back tomorrow is going to be a huge injection of offense to this team. And I really think that's going to help a lot. Overall, I mean, getting Musgrove back, I know on the pitching side will also be huge. This team is better than they played. And by the way, there is no shame being shut down by Spencer Strider, who is one of the best pitchers in the National League right now.
I'll let you go back in time a month and change your prediction to the Arizona Diamondbacks. you want to take me up on that offer or no?
I mean, I picked them to finish third. I picked them ahead of the Giants. I really think they're fun, up and coming. Corbin Carroll, everyone on that team. They're not going to win the division. Right. I love Torey Lovullo. I love that team. But it's great to see this from them, and they will be a force in a few years.
What do you think? How bad, I guess I'll phrase it, do you think the reception, the fans on the road will be for Fernando Tatis Jr.? I argued earlier this week. I think obviously at the beginning there's going to be the boos, but he's such a likable fellow, and the smiles. I feel like it's going to die down a lot faster than it did with maybe some other players from the steroid era, but I could be wrong. Woods disagrees.
Sarah, he's very naive. He's a very naive young man. I think it's going to be rough for him. New York, LA is going to be particularly brutal. Philly,
LA is going to be bad, but they didn't like him in LA to begin with.
That's true.
I don't know. That's a big change.
Ultimately, I think it just comes down to what Fernando is expecting. And I'm sure he knows it'll be difficult. And he's the type of player to feed off of this. So no matter what it is, I don't think it will matter for him. I do think it's unique. You know, we've never seen a player in his phase of his career go through this, a guy who is or was on a Hall of Fame track at this point, at this age. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I was at a spring training game, I think, against the Giants, and it's spring training crowd. There's, 8,000 people there. There were some boos for sure, but there's plenty of Padres fans across the country who are cheering for him.
Sarah, is there any call to action? We got a great listener base. We call them our tier ones. When it comes to the fight against ALS, I know you've got a really cool Roto Gear t-shirt that's pinned to the top of your timeline. And go to her Twitter page and you can check that out, which is it's a really cool design. But anything else that you want to say and a call to action here?
For sure. I mean, it's funny. I'm a researcher of baseball, and my passion with ALS and everything else has now been channeled into ALS research. As you mentioned, there is no cure, but there is a lot of promising research going on. So if anyone is interested in making any donations, there are organizations like Project ALS, which is the beneficiary of those shirts. Another called ALS-TDI, or Mass General in Boston, their ALS group. They're all doing really, really promising research. So if people are interested in that, but I also think awareness and just knowing it is not as rare as people think is really, really important. So listening to me right now hopefully helps spread that as well.
And you can find Sarah on Twitter at Slangs on Sports. And Sarah, really appreciate it. It's an amazing story. Keep fighting the good fight, and we'll have you on again soon because that was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you,
Sarah Langs on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Kind of puts a 3-game losing streak in perspective.
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
What really matters in life, and someone who can be positive despite everything she's gone through. I think we can probably still be positive about a baseball game this afternoon.
Yeah, if you're so inclined, go Google Sarah Lang's New York Post and read the article. And I was in tears at my desk yesterday reading it. And
I was in tears 10 minutes ago.
I know.
Dude, just the joy for life that she has.
She watched every game. I love that.
If I grew up and every time my dad took me to a game, I saw 20 straight Padres losses. You know what I wouldn't be today? A baseball fan. I would have given up a long time ago.
Dude, I know. Just
I saw a lot of losses, but occasionally
they scratch one out.
They'd win a couple here and there.
Getting the shirt right now. Right now as we speak. That was amazing. What an inspiration she is. And we've talked to our pal Boog Sciambi before about all the work that he does for that just dastardly disease. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone, honestly, but to see somebody with her spirit, it's I'm a wreck right now anyway. So I'm going to continue to be a wreck for most of the day. And the game really feels very secondary. It does. And
it's just not fair, man.
It's not fair. That's 29-year-old young woman. Go read the article, man. It will bring you to your knees. And to have the smile on her face that she does, the courage to come on and the knowledge that she has is truly incredible. Paulie, great get.
That article talks about how people like Carl Ravitch took her under his wing and was like, introducing her into staff meetings, like, hey, listen, kind of like we reference Moneyball all the time. Like, does this guy really need to be here?
Yeah.
Does she really need to be?
Yes,
Yeah. And you're
she
going to
does.
listen to her
Yep.
because she's smarter than you, quite frankly.
Aaron Boone, big
Buck
fan of hers.
Showalter.
Buck Showalter. Her research, I guess, was second to none. So just a great get. And I'm so glad we were able to feature her on the show today. That's what's most important.
A lot of great comments on the stream as well. Really supportive tier ones out there.
Sweet
Glad to
angel,
see it.
man.
Yeah. We have another great lady of sports coming up later this hour at the bottom of the hour. NBA insider Rachel Nichols. It's playoff season. She's also the host of a new Showtime show. Big name guest Rachel Nichols going to join us in a few minutes. Got some Legion tickets to give away in our next segment. We'll preview the homestand finale as well. All ahead with Ben and Woods. We'll be right back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Insperity. We still have a stalled transit bus got the right lane blocked south 163. This is near Mesa College. Then up ahead in Balboa Park before Park Boulevard, a collision over to the right shoulder. Providing scalable HR services, access to better benefits, payroll, and HR technology for over 35 years. Insperity's mission is to help businesses succeed so communities prosper. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. Visit Insperity.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's always baseball season on 97.3 The Fan. Listen to your favorite sports station on the go with the free Odyssey app. Download it today.
Good morning, guys. It is Woodsy. I am truly nothing without a cup of coffee in the morning. I can't get through the day. Ben and I were just talking about it, and he said, I'd love to go by Bird Rock. They're not open on our way. We get up early. We're driving in super early. What I recommend to you, just like I will recommend to all the tier ones that don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I would go get yourself a bag of beans. I walked in yesterday from work. My wife we actually grind ours in the NutriBullet. You know what the NutriBullet is? We have we put our beans in there. We grind them up.
Selling us magic beans again.
Magic beans again from Bird Rock Coffee Roasters. I walked into the house. I go, what's going on? She's like, I was just grinding some beans. I'm like, oh my
I love that smell.
God, it smells so good.
Sauer 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by U.S. Army Salute Fest. Win a trip for two to Miami Beach for the U.S. Army Salute Fest, the most amazing Memorial Day weekend experience ever. Paul, this one-of-a-kind event includes the hottest names in music and a large showcase of top U.S. Army
This
technology.
is in Miami?
Register now at usasalute.com and use promo code KWFM.
Well, today is the National Oklahoma City Bombing Commemoration Day, Paul. What are you and Megan doing to celebrate?
What aren't we
You guys
doing?
going to the beach or like what's the
Barbecue
celebration of the we're just gonna go to lunch, the waterfront.
Wait until September and 9/11 rolls
Paul,
around.
Ben,
Off the hook.
Ben.
Paulie is
my
a party
birthday is
animal.
the 14th.
Yeah,
Party animal.
Paulie's birthday is right around 9/11. So when you're celebrating, people are like, what's up, dude? Because you said your favorite holiday. If you guys missed it, we're not making fun of it. Paulie said his favorite holiday is Memorial Day. We said, well, that's odd
Didn't
because
think
it's
that one
Memorial
out.
Day. It's about memorials.
It was like, what holiday do you look forward
Yeah,
to the
Paulie said
most?
Memorial Day.
And it's Memorial Day weekend.
Excuse me?
So I got married on
What?
May 30th.
It's such a dichotomy.
It
because
is. It
it's
makes sense.
It's the beginning of summer. It's about getting out and
Like we
having
strategically planned. We're like, we didn't want to, when we were planning our wedding, we're like, like June 6th was a Saturday. I was like, May 30th though, it's going to be right around a holiday weekend every year. Every year.
Almost everybody has fun on Memorial Day weekend, but then you're supposed to be really somber
Right.
when it ends.
It's weird to see somebody on Memorial like, yeah.
I'm not the only one.
Paul's gonna be in Vegas this year for Memorial Day week. Like, what's the deal?
Reenacting The Hangover in Las Vegas.
Exactly.
Damn it.
Oh man.
I'm looking for a decent start today from Nick Martinez. He's got that intensity with the home crowd to get fired up here. Padres need a win to wrap up this homestand, and I like that Nick Martinez is going to be out there. Who knows how many more starts he's going to make, at least in the short term, with Joe Musgrove coming back into the rotation on Saturday.
It's so easy. I
he's
think
got a lot of motivation today. Let's just
he
say
does,
that.
yeah. And who is I know the easy way to look at it is say, well, just put Nick Martinez back in there because he's done it and he did it with great success. That said, you can re-sign the guy on the, oh no, you're gonna be a starter for us. You give him 3 starts and be like, guess what, pal? Back to the bullpen you go. That's kind of a bummer if you're him. He's getting paid, he's making money, you're trying to help the team win. I understand all that. I do. I absolutely understand that. But Nick is and has shown over his time here that he'll do whatever it takes. But I don't know that it's that easy of an answer as to just say, hey, Nick, by the way, great job against Atlanta. Joe's coming back. You're in the pen now. There's ways that they can manipulate it. They can move things around to make sure everyone gets a start. But what you can't have, like we talked about earlier, Ben, is starting pitchers like Joe Musgrove, Darvish, Blake Snell waiting 8 days to pitch. That just can't happen. The 6-man rotation is going to go away with the off days built in and things like that. So I'm glad I don't have to manage that problem.
Charlie Morton will be going for the Braves. Padres did beat him in Atlanta last week, 3 runs in 5 innings. He did win his other 2 starts of the season, though, so he's making his 4th start of the year today as the Padres wrap up their homestand. A couple of other interesting matchups today in Major League Baseball, including, how about this pitching matchup between the Dodgers and the Mets? You've got Max Scherzer, the former Dodger, at least for a short amount of time, going up against L.A., and you've got Noah Syndergaard, the longtime Met, going up against his old team, the New York Mets, after the Dodgers bounced back and even that series last night with a win behind Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, I think there was already some talk about Scherzer and where's the game is in LA. Yeah, it's in LA. He's probably going to get a little heat. Max Scherzer, he was talking about how he was misused and remember he bowed out of that start. And I know I saw some Dodger fans online really like, oh, okay, we're about to give it to you when you're there. But look, he's still got good stuff. We saw it recently, had him on the ropes, could not deliver a knockout blow. So it should be an interesting one between the Mets and the Dodgers. There's some really good pitching matchups today.
Yeah, the first place Diamondbacks, still weird saying that, are looking for a 3-game sweep on the road in St. Louis. Yeah. Now that shows you something. I mean, I know the Cardinals aren't off to a great start, but if you win all 3 in St. Louis, that's a good early season series. Now, you got Madison Bumgarner going. He's 0-2 with almost an 8 ERA. The reason I'm bummed about that is that means in the 4-game series in Arizona,
We miss him.
Pitcher of the Padres. We'll miss his
And
Madison Bumgarner.
We hit him well.
They have had they didn't when he was against the Giants,
right?
But since he's gone to Arizona, the Padres have done very well against Mad Bum.
Like Tatis against Mad Bum is I'm so pissed that we're missing this.
Yeah.
Because Mad Bum's just like just wants to get him out so badly, and probably hates Fernando Tatis with every fiber in his being.
We just had a 4-game series against the Brewers and missed Corbin Burns.
Right.
And now it's our turn to miss out.
Yeah, seriously. You said it at the break, Ben, off air. You said if the Diamondbacks are going to be serious about contending, you just got to eat it. It's a sunk cost. You can't keep running him back out there.
It's time to find something better than Madison Bumgarner if you're Arizona. Yeah. I'm fine if they keep throwing him out there. I think it's a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
That they keep throwing him out there.
I hope they do.
They paid him all this money. They still have to keep paying him the money, but you've got to act like a winning team now in Arizona, and winning teams are not throwing Madison Bumgarner out there every 5th day.
St. Louis scuffling.
And then how about one of the hotter teams in baseball? They've won 6 out of 7. Skip Schumacher's Miami Marlins, who are going for a sweep of the Giants today at home. And they just took 2 of 3 from the Diamondbacks and took 2 of 3 from the Phillies before that. They took 2 of 3 from the Twins earlier this month as well. After a little bit of a slow start, the Marlins have gotten locked in here under Skip Schumacher.
Yeah, I'm so happy for him. I want to keep that thing going, man. I wish him nothing but the best and success. And they'll be here end of May, I think. So he's got some good arms. He's got guys. Jazz Chisholm hit an absolute nuke yesterday. They're playing well. Jorge Soler is hitting really well. I've seen quite a few Marlins games this year.
Obviously, there's some NBA playoff matchups tonight. We'll talk about those with Rachel Nichols coming up in our next segment. But right now, we got a pair of tickets to give away to the SD Legion game against the Houston SaberCats on April 30th at Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets are on sale now at sdlegion.com. But if you want to check out San Diego's Red Hot Rugby Squad, Major League Rugby, be the third caller right now at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 to win a pair of tickets to see the Legion taking on the SaberCats on April 30th. We'll come back with Rachel Nichols, big name NBA guest insider, joining us next here on 97.3 The Fan.
I think she'll be wowed by my NBA knowledge.
No,
we'll see.
Already plenty of drama in the NBA play season. So let's get right back out to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlton fan hotline, where we are joined right now by NBA insider and the host from Showtime's Headliners with Rachel Nichols. The one and only Rachel Nichols is with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Rachel, you're on with Ben and Paul. Woodsy had a pet emergency and had to leave, but we are very glad to have you on this morning.
I'm trying to think of what the pet emergency could be.
Unfortunately, what you don't
they
want
had to put down their German Shepherd that they had for a long time, and the kids are devastated, of course. And yeah, we totally understand. Yeah, but
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I get it. So,
anyways, welcome to the show, Rachel.
Well, thank you. I'll think a good thought for them, though.
Let's start with the show. Actually, Headliners with Rachel Nichols. Joel Embiid was your first guest, which is amazing. I mean, it's award season. The MVP award is coming out soon, and obviously a lot of people think he's the favorite. But I mean, how do you go wrong with any of the finalists for the MVP award this year, Rachel?
Yeah, we wanted to talk to him because he is in this great moment of on the brink of being the favorite to win his first MVP after being the runner-up for the past 2 years. And he's just got such a fascinating story. He had so many near misses, so many times where, frankly, I think a lot of he decided to stick with it. He didn't pick up a basketball and start playing until he was 15 years old. Think about the AAU kids around the country here who have been sort of working at it on their grind since they were maybe 8 or 9. He didn't even start playing until he was 15. Then when he was 16, 17, he found himself at a high school in Florida, didn't speak the language, was completely away from his family, didn't know anyone. And frankly, because he just picked up the game a year before, didn't really know that well how to play. So to go from that to, in a decade, being the favorite to win the MVP, it's really incredible.
And I know you've got Dirk Nowitzki coming up, Dwayne Wade, and Jason Kidd. I don't know how much you got to go into it with Jason Kidd about the fine for tanking at the end of the season and the way that Dallas Mavericks season kind of came to an end. We talked about it a lot on the show here. Just, I mean, a team that could have made the playoffs that wasn't trying to win. To me, that's not what sports all about, Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, and I thought this was interesting when the decision came down from the league office, the Mavericks decided not to fully play, as we say, their last 2 or 3 games. You had teams that were going months without putting in a full effort, and those teams didn't get fined for tanking. So I think it's one of those things in the NBA where there's no perfect answer, right? I mean, they've tried to change the lottery odds so that you don't automatically get the first pick if you just have an awful season. They've tried to add in the play-in tournament, so there's some incentive for teams that might be on the verge of being a lottery pick to actually go for it. But in the end, there will always be teams that either spend a few months of the season deciding, we're not going to try that hard. And I'm talking to Houston and San Antonio there, or maybe even a couple weeks before the end of the season, Portland decided, hey, we're going to shut Damian Lillard down, right? And then Dallas a few days before the end of the season. And it's a tough thing for fans, especially if you've bought tickets and you love your team and you want to see them try to do something in the playoffs. But there's a long-term game too with these teams, and it's better than it used to be, but it's still not fixed.
You know, it's a really fair point, and I don't envy Adam Silver. The job of discipline and fines and suspensions is not an easy one. Now he gets very well paid to make those tough calls, and he had to make one last night. The announcement that Draymond Green is going to be suspended for Game 3, a very critical must-win game for the Golden State Warriors. You know, I said earlier, I get. I mean, it was a bad look stomping on Domantas Sabonis like that, and he does have a track record, but it's going to have an outsized impact on a very important game and an important series. I said maybe suspend him for the first 2 games of next season and let the playoffs go on as it was. But
I wasn't sure that his history should play a factor in it. It's either a suspendable
or it's not
offense, or it's not.
Would they have suspended Steph Curry had he done that?
Completely fair to say that. I mean, it really is an interesting case, especially since, by the way, nobody deserves to have their chest stepped on. So I want to make it very clear. I'm not saying that, but it's not as if both parties in this didn't do stuff, because we know that the NBA feels Domantas Sabonis did wrong. Also, they assessed him a technical foul, and they left that technical even after looking at the tape for a day. So, you know, there was a little bit on both sides. One obviously worse than the other, and that's why Draymond's the one who got the double tech and got thrown out of the game. But I was frankly surprised to see the suspension come down. I was surprised to see them say that this is in part because of past behavior. I think that Adam Silver was in the building for it, may have played an influence on what went on there. But even with all of that, the fact that the suspension didn't come out until around 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, where the NBA office is in New York, really told me that there must have been a lot of back and forth and discussion over this. And they knew that this was going to be a big deal. And by the way, not just implications for Game 3, not just implications for the series, but there are going to be serious questions this summer about whether they keep that Warriors core of Steph, Klay, and Draymond together. And Draymond's the one who may end up in another city. And the fact that this is the ending that is going to be left in the taste in the mouth of the ownership when they're making these decisions is pretty crazy, considering the ups and downs of this season.
I've known Steve Kerr for a while now, living in San Diego as he has, and how he always seems to remain calm and deal with the chaos that has swirled around that team. I mean, a lot of success, but a lot of chaos as well during this championship run that they've been on. Always amazes me.
Yeah, well, you have to remember that, he played for the Jordan Bulls, and I actually covered the tail end of that team when I was in college. And that was insanity on top of the circus, wrapped in absolute bedlam. So if he's been in the middle of that, I think he can handle anything.
NBA insider Rachel Nichols Showtime headliners with Rachel Nichols, new episodes every Thursday. You can check them out on Showtime with guests throughout the NBA playoffs. I'm a Lakers fan growing up. I kind of thought with all the effort they had to expend just to get in to the play-in tournament that they weren't going to have anything left, and maybe it will catch up to them, but they certainly looked energetic in game 1 in Memphis of that series, and now it's got me kind of maybe rethinking the Lakers' chances here in the postseason.
Well, look, they've had a lot of matchup luck, which, for a team that had bad luck with injuries earlier in the season, certainly Lakers fans could feel like, hey, it's just coming around for us. But, being matched up in the first round with a team that not only has its most explosive star player now injured, they were missing significant front court depth before the series even started. They had 2 regular players who would have been defenders for guys like LeBron James, for guys like Anthony Davis up front, who just aren't playing in this series. So right from the beginning, we knew that the Lakers had a favorable matchup there, and then add in that John Morant has this injury. I think he's questionable for tonight. He is going to try to go, but we'll have to see what happens in warmups. And, things are falling their way in this first round. Of course, they have to go from here. It's only 1-0, and, we don't know what happened. Injuries can happen to anyone. Heroic performances can come from anyone. So we'll have to see how the series play out, but at least they're on footing right now. It seems like they have an advantage.
And then finally, since we're the Padres station, so we talk a lot of baseball, our big story right now, Fernando Tatis Jr. is returning for the San Diego Padres tomorrow. Rachel, do you have any cross-sport thoughts on Fernando Tatis Jr.? I actually think if you put a basketball in his hands, he would have been an amazing basketball player.
Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable with the athleticism that he has, the leaping ability, the speed. I mean, he would have been a phenomenon on the court.
I totally see that 100%. I do think he is one of them. I always say maybe 10% of athletes could cross sports. There's some guys and some, frankly, some of the best athletes in the history, like Michael Phelps, he really couldn't have played anything else, right? I mean, his body was so built for swimming and what made him so good at swimming. But then you have that 10% of professional athletes who you can see going from sport to sport, Deion Sanders style. And I think he is 100% one of them. I wonder if he ever tried it.
I'm sure he has. Absolutely. Polly,
talking with Rachel Nichols here, host of Headliners with Rachel Nichols on Showtime. I saw a few clips of your conversation with Joel Embiid. Loved it. Can you tease anybody else that you have coming up on the series? There are no shortage of characters in the NBA, and good, bad, funny, everything in between. I love it. I'm curious, who else do you have that you can tease on Showtime coming up?
Well, this series has been so much fun because it's called Headliners. We're really talking to the best of the best. And we wanted in this first section of shows to highlight someone like Joel, who we think is about to win MVP, or Hall of Famers. I mean, these are the cream of the crop names. And I will tease tomorrow's episode with Dirk Nowitzki by saying this. I don't know if you've ever heard a 7-foot German rap Shaquille O'Neal lyrics, but you will on Headliners tomorrow. Dirk grew up in Germany, was a big Shaq fan, and the Fu-Schnickens were apparently on heavy rotation in his boombox. So we explore that duality of being a Shaq fan and yet also being an NBA Hall of Famer, as well as some great stories, of course, from his title run and all the different characters that he saw around the NBA. Was really touching at one point, him telling me about Kobe, asking him and trying to recruit him to join the Lakers, which I just kind of can't imagine that twosome. And of course, Dirk decided that he wanted to maintain his loyalty to Dallas. But there's all kinds of moments in this interview and stories and things where you've got a guy who we've watched for 2 decades almost, and yet I think you're going to learn a lot more about him in this interview.
Well, Rachel, really appreciate it. I'm only sorry you missed Woods' pointed and insightful basketball questions that he would have brought to this conversation.
LeBron or MJ?
Woods would have asked you, why are those birds outside your window so very still behind you?
Exactly.
These
are things you need to know.
Thank you, Rachel. Good
Thanks
luck.
so much, Rachel.
Best to you guys.
Rachel Nichols, again, Showtime Headliners with Rachel Nichols, new episodes every Thursday throughout the NBA postseason. That was fun.
That was great.
Little change up, but we've
me?
two fantastic women in sports this hour. Paulie, good job on the booking, and sorry I didn't let you get a question in there until the end.
No, it's fine.
Me.
I just
I get on a roll. A basketball bang gets on a roll. He's
why are your pants off? That's what I want to know.
Very hard to distract. I will settle down from that interview while we take a look at traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Gomez Trial Attorney. Seriously injured, get a real trial attorney. Get Gomez. Looks like tow truck is still on scene, helping to clear crash south 163 before Park Boulevard. Everything is over to the right shoulder. Just watch out for a little jam up there. And hit and run crash reported westbound 8 near Texas Street. It's over the right shoulder. And just a reminder, eastbound lanes of the 78 will remain closed for at least another couple of weeks for that road work between El Camino Real and College. If you've been injured in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, Gomez Trial Attorneys is ready to fight for you all the way to trial. Get a real trial lawyer. Get Gomez. Call 833-GET GOMEZ. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, last few minutes here, Paulie, and I'd love to be able to promise that the Padres are going to get it going today, and we will soon forget about this miserable streak that they've been on, the lack of offense, that there's no possible way that a team with this many talented hitters can stay in a slump for very long. They're going to break out of it. They're going to start putting major runs on the board either today or when Fernando returns tomorrow. It may not happen. It's baseball. Crazier things than a team with established stars, all of a sudden being unable to hit have happened in professional sports.
Yeah. I mean, look, at this point, what's one more 2-hit performance or something like that from the offense? Let's just I'm not encouraging it. I hope it doesn't happen, but if for whatever reason it's Groundhog Day again for us tomorrow morning, and that's what it's going to take to get the joy and excitement of seeing Fernando back there tomorrow night in Arizona. We know what he does after he comes back from an absence. I mean, I'm thinking at least one bomb tomorrow night.
I know that there's Padres fans who feel like we haven't been angry enough or hard enough on the team the last 3 days. And maybe you're right. I guess for me, the worst case scenario is too bad to even contemplate. I firmly believe the problem is not the coaching staff. It's not Bob Melvin. I saw a few fire Bomel tweets already. I really think that would be a mistake. It's simply a matter of players who are highly paid, who have track records, have to get back going and produce. If they didn't, if for some reason that this wasn't a 3-day blip, that this was a sign that Manny Machado has gone off a cliff and will never hit well again in the big leagues, and Juan Soto has, for some reason, has just lost it mentally and is going to be a 175 hitter for the rest of his career in the big leagues, and Jake Cronenworth is going to continue to struggle, and the Padres are simply not going to find any offense with this current lineup, it's pretty unthinkable because, unfortunately, with the commitments they've made, there's no way to fix it. There's no trade you can make. There's no way to change, free agent signings in the offseason. If these guys don't produce over the next few seasons the way we all expect them to do it, you can, plan a 15-year rebuilding process at this point.
Right.
I don't think that's where we're going, but that ultimately is there's not a lot of wiggle room with what the Padres created. They have, to their credit, to Peter Seidler's credit, they have gone all in with this roster that they have right now. Sure, they could sign Juan Soto. They could go after Shohei Ohtani in the offseason, but Manny Machado's not going anywhere. Jake's obviously not going anywhere. Xander's not going anywhere. Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, these guys are going to be the core of this team, along with Fernando Tatis Jr., for the next, 6 to 12 years, essentially. And the Padres will live and die by how well these guys perform. And when they're not performing, it'll look ugly like it is right now. You just have to count on the fact that they will perform more often than not. And you'll be very glad that they made these commitments, unlike other teams that'll lose players to free agency and, that it won't be going well, that Padres won't have to worry about it too much in the future because they've got these guys locked down. But when they do struggle, this is what's going to happen. Just like with any team, when you have multiple guys struggling at the same time, you lose a lot of baseball games.
Sucks. You got to just go with the track records. You know what I mean? It's still baffling to see people.
What Adam Jones told us earlier.
Giving up on Juan Soto. I mean, I saw somebody was like, I can't believe we're living in a world where Juan Soto, like defending Juan Soto, is now a hot take amongst Padres fans, and I don't get it. It sucks to see it, but this is a team, we talked about it yesterday, that went to the NLCS last year. You didn't have Fernando Tatis Jr. and you didn't have Xander Bogaerts. You had Soto and Machado. So if you don't have Soto and Machado producing, but you got Xander Bogaerts, who's gotten on base, I think, in every single game still, right? For the Padres this year. And then you bring back Tatis, who's going to be an MVP candidate still. Anything's possible. Let's just, Adam Jones, he debunked what you thought. You weren't sure that hitting is contagious. And Adam Jones said it absolutely is. So let's see what happens. What can Fernando Tatis Jr. bring to this lineup tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a lot that can be done in the short term or the long term. It's simply, you keep putting those guys out. Yeah, you can give a guy a day off here or there if you really feel like he's in a rut. You could move a little bit of lineup construction, but for the most part, Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr. starting tomorrow, they're going to be in the top 5 in the Padres order in some way, shape, or form for the rest of the season, and really probably for almost the rest of the time here, as long as they're healthy. So it's really a matter of patience at this point, Padres fans. I hate to, I hate to be the guy who says just sit on your hands and do nothing, but that's really where we are right now.
Do you hate it? I think you like it.
I don't like it. I mean, we have to fill 4 hours, and if there were a lot of options and different things that the Padres could do, we could have a really great discussion about why Bo Mel should be, hitting Manny Machado 7th, and Juan Soto would really be a great 9 hitter when they come around. No, you're not. You can't do that. They're not going to do that. You're just going to wait until they start hitting, and hopefully it's today. And if it's not today, then hopefully it's tomorrow. And if it's not tomorrow, then hopefully it's on Friday. And we'll keep doing this same show.
What? Even if it's not until next Tuesday or something, like,
we'll still be here and
got plenty of time.
We'll still be rooting for the San Diego Padres, because ultimately I do think our investment in the team, and by investment I mean our fan investment, the time that we invest in watching this team will pay off in something fairly special. I don't know if it'll be a World Series title, but I don't think it's going to end up being a 500, 81 season that just goes down the tube sometime in the summer. I just don't see that happening here.
I agree 100%.
All right. There we go.
Got to get one today though. I mean, look, you don't want to put much, if any, emphasis on an April regular season game more than any other April regular season game. But like we talked about earlier, this is the tiebreaker for the season series with the Braves. You never know what could happen towards the end of September, early October. And if you need that tiebreaker, today would be the way to get it.
If they're all 1 of 162, this one feels like 1.5 out of 162. Sure. It's a little bit more
must
important
win
than some of the others. To avoid the sweep, win the season series, get some momentum going for the return of Fernando tomorrow. Have a happy flight, even though it's a short one, to Arizona. No one wants to see the Padres miserably walking out in their fashionable threads this afternoon from Petco Park to get on the bus with their heads hanging low. Let's have a little energy and excitement as they head out on the road with Fernando coming back tomorrow, and you do that with a win today, and that's how you do that.
Let's get after it, man.
All right, that'll do
hours.
it for us. Just thinking about Woodsy and Hannah and the boys. I know it's a pet, but pets are about family members essentially, and to lose one is really tough. So thinking of you guys as we wrap things up. Coach John Quintero is coming up next. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Talk to you then. For Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Thanks for joining us on Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station and the home of the Padres, 97.3 The Fan.